What's up, everybody? Oh my goodness, Adora, today is a absolutely huge, insane day. Who is so excited to hear from Les Brown today? It's gonna be amazing. Adora, are you ready for today?
Oh my gosh, I have been ready. I mean, Les Brown is one of the most inspirational human beings on the channel or on the planet, on this channel, but on the planet. I love that he inspires across generations, across ages. You know, my son is 25 and shared with me a time that he just listened to Les Brown on repeat. And that's pretty cool because we were listening to Les Brown. You know what I mean? And there aren't many speakers that transcend time like that. So, absolutely, I'm so excited.
Well, awesome. Well, welcome everybody to Project Uprise Business Amplifier. Today is day one. We're going to be here for about roughly 4 hours today, tomorrow, and Friday. And I heard that there might be a little bit of a bonus on Saturday, but more information to come on that. I want to personally welcome all of you guys, and we know that people are joining right now, so welcome, and it's going to be an incredible day. You know, we've been crafting this for the last couple of months, and we really want to help entrepreneurs, business owners, if you have a program or a project or a product, to help you get to 100K months. And I know sometimes if you're at a 5K month or 10K month, that sounds like impossible. But the reality is the path to a bigger number like that is actually easier than the path to a bigger number than that, because it takes a little bit different level of thinking. So I want to find out who is here today. I know we got a lot of people joining right now on Facebook, on not Instagram, but Facebook and YouTube, as well as StreamYard. So we've got a lot of people in different areas out there. So I want to put in the chat, tell me why you're here, what you hope to get out of these next couple of days. And also tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and what do you do? If you're an entrepreneur, are you an influencer? Are you a coach? Are you an author? Or maybe like me, you're all of the above. So I would want to hear from you. Now, I want to give you a warning about the next 3 days. And here's the warning that I want to give you. This event really isn't crafted for those that are absolutely happy with where they are today. So if you are happy and satisfied with your life and your business and exactly where it is today, then this probably isn't for you. However, I will tell you this is for those entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, influencers that don't just want ordinary, but want extraordinary. Not just an extraordinary business, but an extraordinary business that leads to an extraordinary life. So if that is you right now, I want you to put in the chat, extraordinary. Let's see in the chat. Light up that chat right now. We want to see extraordinary in the chat. And by the way, the other thing too is this is for you if you feel like there's more for you. If like me, you feel like you're called to do what you were meant to do, and you don't feel like you're being pushed necessarily, but you feel like you're being pulled into something incredible, something great, and there's greatness for you in the future. If that is you, I want you to put great in the chat. Let's light up that chat. Oh, I see people that are so excited to bring on Les Brown. Yes, we're just here to warm you up for one of the greatest, if not the greatest speaker of all time, at least in my book, and I know in many of yours. So, and we want to tell Les, because he might be listening in the background, that this is one of the greatest audiences out there. So we want you guys to make sure you're engaged and make sure that you are doing what you need to do to level up your life. Now, I want to give you a bold promise. I give you a little bit of a warning, but I want to give you a bold promise. Our bold promise to you for the next couple of days our bold promise to you is to bring contributors, people that are very successful, that can give you the path to the business and the life that you want. And we have hand selected these contributors from online influencers, from YouTube experts, from webinar experts, from people that know how to build business and grow the world that you and I are already in. And our bold promise to you is to give you strategies, tactics, tools, and mindsets to be able to help you get to where you want to go and where you want to be in your business. But I want you to commit to something. I wrote a book called Commit First, right over there, because I know about the power of commitment. And the only thing we're going to ask you are two things. Number one, I want you to arrive and just forget everything you know about your business and about entrepreneurship and growth, and just soak everything in like you were a child. Not let anything get in the way. In other words, your existing beliefs with the lessons that you can learn today, especially when your beliefs are challenged. That's the first thing. The second thing is I want you to commit to stay present and just drink the Kool-Aid for the next 3 days. Because I promise you, if you commit to stay present, if you commit to play full out, and you commit to soak in everything, you're going to get much more out of these next few days than you ever thought possible. How do I know this? Because I've been in that seat before. I've been speaking, but I've also been in that seat, and I've learned from so many incredible people that have helped change my life. So who, Adora, should we say this? Who is ready to have a life-changing experience, and who is ready to bring on Les Brown right now? What do you think, Adora?
Yes, yes, yes. And before we bring him up, I just want to say, share this everywhere. And I want to speak not just to Les Brown. Most of you know him. You have stories. You have, your life has been awakened on multiple occasions because of who Les has been. But I want to tell you personally, I know Les Brown to be the first one to support Dennis Waitley when Dennis was walking through something, to encourage him, to make a huge, encouraging statement about him. I know him to be the first one to say, wait, you guys are doing something to help kids. You're doing something to elevate entrepreneurs. What can I do? And he was the guy that said, you know what? Let's put together an event and let 100% of the profits go to help that shelter in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So this is, there are a lot of people that are phenomenal, but the men who walk their talk and the women who walk their talk, that's the kind of person that I'll do anything that I can almost to share space with. So I'm just so grateful and thankful for you. And yes, let's bring Mr. Les Brown to the stage.
Let's hear it for the man himself. Hello, Les. How are you?
I'm great, and so are you. I'm just so motivated and hungry after listening to you. I mean, you got the butter from the duck today, okay?
Well, thank you very much. It's so great to have you.
Yes. Hello, Adora. What would you have me to do? I'm here to serve you, please.
Well, Les, I think that knowing our audience, we have, entrepreneurs that are really looking to lead powerfully through uncertain times. They're looking to scale their business. And you're the master of grit, of inspiration, of what it takes to really be extraordinary. So when you think about those entrepreneurs and you think about what's going on right now in the world, what advice do you have, or what word of encouragement do you have to share with us?
How much time do I have to do this?
We have you for an hour, 45 minutes, an hour.
I don't need an hour. I'm going to be considerate of everybody else.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate you and everybody that's listening for participating in this. And what we know is this is a different place. We're in a different world now, unlike anything I've ever seen in my 78 years on the planet. And so when you are involved in a process where there has been radical change, you have to engage in a radical transformation of yourself to accommodate what has gone down. We're living in a time where, excuse me, I can hear you all back here. We're living in a time where just feeling safe is a major issue. I was talking to one of my daughters who's teaching, and she said, "Daddy, I've got to get off the phone." And I said, "What's happening? What's going on?" And she said, "We got a fire drill." I said, "No, excuse me." She said, "We got a drill." And I asked her, "Is it a fire drill?" She said, "No." I said, "What kind of drill is it?" She said, "In the event a shooter comes into the school." Now, when I was in school, we had fire drills. Now, kids have drills where to hide in a closet, under a desk, behind a door, in the event a shooter is in the school. Studies have come out now that mental wellness is major with kids. When you're sitting in a room and you've gone through metal detectors and you having drills and you've read about kids being killed in schools, private schools, public schools, that's a different kind of mindset. How do you create an atmosphere where our children can feel safe? Or adults feeling safe if you go to the bank, if you go to a large event, if you go to church. It seems like there's nothing that allow us to feel safe and let our guards down. So this is a different space. So let me share with you what I consider this very important, how to make it against all odds. And I say, you got to be hungry. And what I mean by that, being hungry and making it against all odds, is that what we know is, and what I've come to know looking at and reflecting on my life, and I'm in this space, it was Bishop T.D. Jakes, he says, there's no success without successors. So I'm in this space teaching and training others how to do what I've done to achieve a national and global impact. So I want you to take some notes, please. Number one, is something that Eric said, commit yourself. Commit first to decide that you're going to live a life that's going to outlive you, and hold that vision. That's going to be very important, because that vision, which comes before commitment, the vision comes before commitment, in my opinion, Eric, okay? And the reason is that you got to have something to commit to. You got to have something that you got to give God something to work with. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts should be established. Thy thoughts should be established. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. I had this vision that I wanted to buy my mother a home. I had this vision that I wanted to provide for my adopted mother. I'm adopted. And after this, you can look at Les Brown's 2021 surprise. I connected with my birth family. I just found out at age 77, I saw a picture of my birth mother and father who's, they have passed, and met two brothers that I didn't know I had. And they said to me, it's interesting. They said, you never saw our mother, and you're just like her. And your book, when we found out that you are our brother, you got a book entitled, You Got to Be Hungry, How to Make It Against All Odds. And our grandmother, she lived on this farm, this plantation, and she was a sharecropper. And he said that, wow, man, they said she was hungry to learn. Hungry to learn. And this is where we are right now, because things have changed. And the people that are going to become successful, the people that are going to thrive, the people that are going to live life victoriously rather than as victims, are people that are willing to do what Peter Drucker said, that we must be willing to unlearn, learn, and relearn. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. So that's major. So when you look at yourself as an entrepreneur, it's very important for you to begin to make the determination, who am I supposed to be and what is it I need to do in order to accomplish the things that I need to accomplish. Now, Adora, is it that the reason I'm seeing your face, is there something you want to say to me to interrupt me right now?
No. I actually want you to tell us what it felt like learning that about your birth mother. What was that like? I mean, that's a huge experience.
It was shocking because I never did a search for my birth mother or father, because my adopted mother always said, whenever I would open a presentation, that all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother, that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. So, but I did at different times wonder, what did my father do? What kind of guy was he? What did he look like? And what kind of work was he involved in? And I wondered about my birth mother. Well, come to find out, my father, he was just a regular dude. He was one of 8 children. He was the baby. And he just did nothing. Papa was a rolling stone. Where he laid his head was his home. Okay. But my birth mother, Dorothy Bell Rucker, she was a motivational speaker and she was a teacher. And she and my grandmother, Beulah Rucker, who was a motivational speaker, she taught herself to read from the newspaper that was used to insulate the cabin where she lived. And she taught herself to read. As I said earlier, she was hungry to learn because during the time when they came along, Black people couldn't go to school in Gainesville, Georgia. There were no schools for them to go to. So she had to leave Gainesville to go to Savannah, Georgia, where there was a school where colored people could go at that time. And she had no money, but she told her mother and father, and this is something I love, and I live my life this way. She told her mother and father, I'm going to school in Savannah. I've saved money from picking cotton and milking pigs, cows, and slaughtering pigs and killing chickens and cooking. And she saved her little money, just enough to get transportation to go to Savannah State College. She got there and she got in line. And because my great-great-grandmother and father didn't have money for her to go to this school. And so when it came time for her to see the head of the school, the gentleman asked, where's your money to register? And she said, she held her hands out, these hands can work. And looked at it. And he said, get out of line. And then other people came up and registered, and she got back in line again and said, these hands can work. And I read where they said that must have been something in her eyes, something in her energy, some look of determination that she had, that she would not be denied. And he said, okay. And he allowed her to be enrolled, and he allowed her to work for him and the other professors at the school. And she milked the cows and she cleaned their homes, and she got up early to help their children go to school. And she was a determined person, and she graduated with honors from Savannah State College. And my grandmother, Beulah Rucker, they have the Beulah Rucker Museum in Gainesville, Georgia. And I was shocked to find out that she was a motivational speaker, and she had a relationship with Eleanor Roosevelt. So
what?
And traveled around and spoke with Eleanor Roosevelt and also Mary McLeod Bethune. This kind of stuff you can't make up. But I got to tell you this, Adora. This is. I want to say to everybody, whatever you want to do, not only is it important for you to hold a vision, and don't stop yourself by asking the question about how am I going to do it. I think Eric is right. Commit first. When you make the commitment, the how will come, the resources, the people, everything you need in order to make it happen will begin to show up, because you're giving God something to work with when you make the commitment. And so she made a commitment that she was going to go, and she stood in line and got back in line again after she was told to get out of line, and she showed back up again. And this gentleman said, okay. And I believe that the universe will dispatch angels for the people who are willing to commit first to get the things that they want out of life, to walk by faith and not by sight, to judge not according to appearances, and to go forward, to leap and grow your wings on the way down. That's very important, particularly now. Why? It's because of the fact that there's so many distractions. Life be lifing. Things are going to happen to you. Things are going to happen to people that you care about. But the people that are willing to commit themselves to be disciplined, to commit themselves to stay focused, to commit themselves to keep the main thing, they're going to be successful. To commit themselves to learning, to have a ritual, to continue to reinvent themselves, to elevate their thinking and elevate their relationships, and also elevate the goals that they set for themselves. Because in order to do something you've never done, you got to become someone that you've never been. And so this is a very challenging time. It's the worst of times and the best of times. We are in a crisis, and crises in the Chinese language means danger, but it also means opportunity. Ask me something else, please.
Yes, and I know Eric is probably, he just wrote a book, Commit First. But, you always talk about greatness is within you, and how confirming and affirming it must have been to see how your mother and grandmother were leading their lives, and that part of you was in you. I mean, you always knew it, say it, but I'm still just blown away with that whole scenario.
But I believe it's in all of us, because my two brothers that I did not know about, George and Rudy, they watched our mother. They traveled with her and they assisted her. And they said when they met me, we don't understand. You never met her. And you speak, your mannerisms, how you tell a story. When you speak, your energy, your passion, we are amazed how the things that you do that she did and you were never around her. And the difference between me and them, and I believe that all of us have greatness in us, is what Eric talked about. The majority of people, 95%, are not willing to commit themselves to do the things today that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. They were not willing to put in the time and the effort to invest in themselves, to develop their skill set, to expand their vision, to reach beyond their comfort zone. Because in order to do something you've never done, you got to become someone you've never been. So most people are not living a committed life. And most people say, I'll try. I always say, try and sit down. And you want to know the difference between trying and commitment. The next time you have bacon and eggs, look at it. The chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. He had to give it all up. And so what Eric is talking about, if you're going to make your dream come true, you're going to have to give it all up, because the system, the culture is stacked against you. You have to make it against all odds. And you got to be hungry. And people that are hungry are relentless. People that are hungry know you will fail your way to success. People that are hungry are relentless and unstoppable. And that's the challenge, because it's the opportunity. Because when you operate beyond your comfort zone, which Brian Tracy calls the danger zone, you get to meet a person in you that you don't know right now. I'm not a religious person. Religious people are afraid of going to hell. Spiritual people have been there. And hell to me is what you experience when you die and you meet the person that you were supposed to become. That's what I think about when I leave the planet. Did I live full? Did I die empty? Did I enrich the cemetery with my voice, with my story, with my talents, with my ideas, with my abilities? Most people, 95% of people, go to their graves dying a life they've never lived. And I think it was Earl Nightingale said, every 100 people that you see, starting out at age 25, by the time they reach 65, 1 will be rich, 4 will be well-to-do, 5 will still be working, 36 will be dead, and 54% will be dependent upon welfare, family and friends, or some social agency to provide for them the bare necessities of life, of food, shelter, and clothing. And that 5%, those are the individuals who said, no, there is more in me. In Lion King, Simba, you're more than that which you have become. The people that are listening to you right now in this community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships, they have said to themselves, I know there's more in me. I know that I can do better than this. They've said, as they looked at their lives, looked at their circumstances, looked at what they have produced, and they've said to themselves, I've had it. I've had it living in a relationship where we're dying together rather than living together. I've had it being on a job where they're paying me just enough to keep me from quitting, and I work just hard enough from being fired. I've had it of living a small life. I'm a masterpiece because I was chosen by the master. I was deployed to be here to do something great with my life, and I'm living a small life. No, I'm not going out like this.
I would love to know, because we have obviously a lot of entrepreneurs that are at different points in their journey. What would you tell your 20 or 30-year-old self, knowing what you know now? What would be your advice to Les Brown years ago that you would give to that young soul?
Don't pay any attention to what people tell you that you can't do. And most importantly, don't pay any attention to yourself. Sometimes you got to tell yourself to shut up. And what I mean by that, if people Google and say Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome, my mind said to me when I looked out and saw the size of the crowd, I've never spoken before 80,000 people. I can't do this. And I had to say to myself, shut up. I panicked. I was afraid. I ran and I locked myself in the bathroom, and they had to call my mentor, Mike Williams. And he said, Brownie, come out. They're stalling. They're waiting for you to give this speech. It's not over till you win. And you're acting like a loser. I said, man, Mike, I can't hear the voices. He said, come out. Once you get the microphone and get on the stage, you will hear the voices you've always heard. And I got quiet. He said, Brownie, can you hear me? I said, yes. He said, you're scared, aren't you? I said, yes. I said, my mind is telling me you can't do this, and I don't want to go out there and freeze and embarrass myself before 80,000 people. He said, Brownie. I said, yes. He said, do it for your mother. I said, man, don't use my mother on me. He said, Brownie, let's imagine what she's going to say. Look at my boy. Look at Leslie speaking in a stadium. Who would have thought? I said, oh, man. He said, come out, Brownie, come out. And I came out the bathroom. And then I asked him, I said, Mike, do you think I can do this? And he looked at me and said, yes. And Adora, it's very important to have someone in your life that will believe in you until your belief kicks in. When he looked at me and said, you got this, Brownie. You were born for this, Brownie. You got this. They came to see you. You didn't come to see them. This is why Dexter Yeager picked you. He could have picked Tony Robbins. He could have picked Jim Rohn, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, but he picked you. He heard the story about how you became a disc jockey and that you got to be hungry. He doesn't even like you. And he picked you because he said that you speak from your heart and you can teach people how to get from the bottom to the top because you've been there. And when he spoke to my heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. And as a result, he inspired me. And anybody that's listening right now, your ability to communicate with people, one-on-one, small groups or large groups is very important. And what he did, I want you to write this down: distract, dispute, and inspire. He distracted me from my fear thoughts of, I can't do this. I've never done this before. And through him talking to me and saying, you got this, he dismantled my current belief about ourselves, how we live our lives as a result of the story we believe about ourselves. When I was in the 5th grade, I was labeled educable mental retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade and failed again when I was in the 8th grade at Booker T. Washington High School in poor section of Miami, Florida. And this man, Mr. Leroy Washington, when I met him when I was in the 11th grade, who's very much like Eric, he said, "Young man, I want you to go to the front of the room and work on this problem I've got here." And I said, "Sir, I can't do this. I'm not one of your students. I'm here to see Mac Arthur Stevens." He said, "Do what I'm asking you to do anyhow." I said, "I can't, sir." And the other students started laughing, saying, "He's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT." And he asked, "What's DT?" "He's the dumb twin." And I said, "I am, sir." And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, "Don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Do you hear me?" I said, "Yes, sir." He distracted me from what I believed about myself. I remember Mama saying, "Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you." But they do hurt, and very deeply. But he distracted me. And through how he presented himself to me and spoke to me, he dismantled my current belief system and inspired me to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in my life. And now that which I was terrified to do, now I've spoken around the world and teaching others how to use their knowledge, their skills, their voice, their story, things they're passionate about to create a national and global impact by creating an experience with an audience that will take them to a place in themselves that they can't go by themselves. This is a time that you have to make yourself stand out. When I came in the speaking area, the majority of speakers were going around and still to this day giving information from the book Think and Grow Rich, which is a classic book, is great. But if information could change people, and you can Google information now, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. So what I'm doing now is teaching people how to do exactly what you're doing now, how you are getting people together in the community to take them to a place in themselves so they can't go by themselves. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it could never be satisfied to go back to where it was. So people who are now aligned here watching this with all the various presenters, what it's going to do is give them a vision of themselves beyond their mental conditioning, beyond their circumstances, beyond the things that they have experienced, that they have gone through, and allow them to release what Elizabeth Browning would say, the imprisoned splendor, and begin to get out of their head and step into their greatness. Because we all have greatness in us, but the majority of people will not put in the time and the effort to cultivate and to ignite that greatness by becoming a risk taker. This, God said, if you're not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? This is a time where you have to leap and grow your wings on the way down. This is a time that you have to bet on you. There is no such thing as job security. The 40-40 plan is gone, where you can go to college and get thousands of dollars in debt and expect to get a job and work for 40 years. That program is gone. This is a new space. We have technology now that will replace over 300 million jobs. Whoa. They got robots now holding conversations with people. One guy married a robot. I said, oh, give me a break. Are you kidding me? This is a different space. I live in Atlanta. A guy goes in and orders a Subway. Young girl been on the job for 3 weeks. And she brings the Subway sandwich, he looks at it, takes a gun out and shoots and kill her and shoot another employee. They ask, why did you kill her? Did she give you pushback when you tried to rob the place? He said, no. They asked, why? He said, she put too much mayonnaise on my sandwich. Are you serious? Come on. This is a different place. People, because of the climate that we're in, because of the uncertainty, because of the disruptions, because of the chaos, people are having collective meltdowns. And those of you that's on this call, you got a voice. Some people going to hear me, some people that's going to hear Eric, some people's going to hear Dora, but there's some people that's a part of your tribe that will hear you. I want to know, how did you get across the Red Seas of your life? How did you slay the giants in your life? What did you do? And when you share that, that will give them hope. And when there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present. And they will say to themselves, their self-explanatory style, if he can do it, if she can do it, I can do it. Ask me something. I'm ready for you today.
So I know we're going to get to deep dive on this some more in Atlanta, but you move people into action. You activate them. And I know you train speakers how to move and activate the people in their lives. How important and what tips do you have for that same ability to activate in our own ways, but in our teams and our families and our organizations? When things are tough, it's often about moving your family forward, your whole business. It's not just moving yourself forward, and you're not always given the stage by those people. So how important, and any tips you have?
It's very important to look out and take care of you. Iyanla Vanzant said, and I believe this very strongly, give to yourself until your cup runneth over, and then give to others from the overflow. When I talk to you about perseverance, about overcoming the odds, I received last year the Cancer Center's Award of Perseverance. I am a 39-year fourth stage cancer conqueror. I don't call myself a survivor, a conqueror. And I'll never forget my oncologist, Dr. Alfred Golson. He was a very interesting guy, and had a great sense of humor. He said, Mr. Brown, I got some bad news for you. And I said, what is it, sir? He said, you have prostate cancer. I said, Now keep in mind, cancer, those words, you have cancer, they're the most feared words in 7 different languages. And I asked, is there anything else? He said, your PSA, which stands for prostate specific antigen, is 2,400. And I asked him, is there anything else? Yeah, I said, 1 to 4 is normal. Yours is 2,400. I heard that. What else is there, sir? He said, it's metastasized to 7 areas of your body. I said, whoa. He said, did you hear me? I said, yeah. Why are you smiling? I said, man, 7 is my lucky number. I was born February the 17th. I'm one of 7 children. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Naaman dipped himself in the river Jordan 7 times. 7 is my lucky number. I said, is there anything else? He said, yes. I said, what is it? He said, and you're ugly too. I said, man, come on. You didn't just call me ugly? Yes. But I don't tell my patients they're terminally ill. What I say is that my knowledge, my ability, my skill set has terminated. I determine the diagnosis. And keep in mind, a diagnosis is not a verdict. You and God determine the prognosis. Whoa. And I knew I had a fight on my hands. And I was up for it. I was ready for it. I said, I got too much to do. I ain't got time to die right now. I know we go all go, but not now. I remember when my mother died, my adopted mother, and after I went home and I had a dream about her that night, she said, "Baby," she came to me in a dream, "you said you missed me. Now it look like you're gonna see me real soon." I woke up, I said, "Mama, I don't want to see you real soon." I want to see you bye. No, I ain't ready to see you now. And so it was Marion White who said, in this thing called life, when you don't have enough courage or insight to know that you have outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on you. I was living a life, Adora, that wasn't me, and I knew it in my heart. And I didn't have the courage at that time to bet on me, to believe that I can be who I am now. Mike did. And as I said, it's very important for you to have somebody in your life that can take you to a place in yourself that you can't go by yourself. And because of that jarring experience, it became a defining moment. I remember when I was married to Gladys Knight and I was seated across from Frank Sinatra, and I heard him say to a young man, "Live each day as if it were your last, because one day it will be." And from that day to now, I maximize my time milking and getting everything that I can out of the day. Most people get up and they just put enough energy in to get through the day. I'm encouraging the people that are listening to me now, get an agenda for your life, because if you don't have an agenda for your life, you're part of somebody else's agenda. And decide what is it you want to get out of the day so that you can maximize the life that you're living, so that you will live a life that will outlive you, so that you will live a life of impact, so that you will live a life of no regrets, so that you can rob the cemetery of your talents, of your abilities, of your skills, of your ideas, and to do what Dr. Miles Monroe said, live full and die empty. Don't come for me. I didn't call an Uber. Don't come for me.
So good. We could listen to you all day. It's amazing that you can come on and inspire us. And at one point, I'm in the back here crying my eyes out, hearing what you're saying. Thank you so much. Yes, Stephanie, so good. I would love to know, what is the greatest, you have provided so much value in the lives of millions and millions of people. What's the gift that you get? Like, what's the thing that lights you up about that? Thinking of the millions of people and the lives that they've impacted. What does that feel like for you? And what has that done for you?
Eric, you and I are cut from the same cloth, and we have branches of the same tree. And here's what you know and what I know, and the people that are watching us now. When you provide hope, love, and inspiration, it's like a perfume. You can't sprinkle it on others without getting a few drops on yourself. That when I speak, and I was telling my staff the other day, they said, "Why are you working the way that you're working?" I said, "I don't know how much time I have left." And so my goal is to live out loud, to make a greater impact, and to do something that one Russian author said. He said, "As I face inevitable death, what are the meaning and purpose of my life that will not be undone or destroyed when I'm gone?" And I think that all of us should stop at different points and reflect on, what is it that you want out of life? What is it, your ideal life? And to me, it's about live your life the way that you want to leave your life. I was in an audience and a guy asked a question. If you had 6 months to live, what would you change about your life? And the majority of the people in there said I would leave my job, and I was among them. And then he said something else. And it reminded me of a movie that Denzel Washington was in. He said, there are moments in life, there's before this and there's after this, and after this, nothing will ever be the same again. He said, as far as you know, this is your last day of life. It could be. Whoa. And I thought about that. And I decided I was going to put my energy and efforts into living my life the way that I want to live my life. I told my children, if they tell you that I have died, sneak into the morgue and put a microphone in my hand. If I don't grab it and say, you got to be hungry, call your brothers and sisters and say, Dad's gone now. Because I'm going to leave here speaking and motivating or training speakers, because that's the calling on my life. A job is what you get paid for. A calling is what you're made for. You were made for that book that you have written. Commit first. That came to you. You had a download that saying, if you want to make it in life, commit first. Don't try and figure it out first, because now you're operating out of being logical and practical and realistic. And there are things that you can do that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. Commit first. You got to take a chance on you first, and then figure the rest of the stuff out. That's why you wrote that book. You had to write that book. You were born and preserved for such a time as this. Don't come for me. I did not call an Uber. Don't come for me.
Wow. Thank you. That is absolutely amazing. I feel we have one of our contributors that's going to be speaking in about an hour, Stephanie Dove Blake. I'm going to add her to the stream to have her ask a question, because I can see her. She is on fire. She's listening to this, and I know she has a question. Stephanie, I hope that's okay to put you on the spot here.
Absolutely. I'm just glad my hair was finished. Oh my gosh, Les, you're incredible. And as far as this leaving a legacy piece, I'm just so curious, because my main thing is entrepreneurs making sure that they don't build this beautiful, awesome empire online and then lose the kingdom at home, right? And so I was wondering if you have any wisdom or advice for everybody who's listening, that while you're doing all these things and you're experiencing success, or you're driven and you're ambition and you're trying to go after these things, how do we make sure, or how have you made sure, or seen people be successful at making sure that we don't leave your family behind in the dust, right?
That is a very good question. And people talk about balance. I don't think you can have balance when you're an entrepreneur. You have to integrate time for you and time for your family in the process of pursuing your goals, because it requires sacrifice. I remember a lady out of Detroit, Martha Jean the Queen, and she would ask the question, do you really want to win? One of the best moments of my life, a reporter asked me, what's the most rewarding experience you've had in speaking? Was it speaking in the Georgia Dome before 80,000 people? I said, no. Was it finding your birth parents where they were born and raised? No. What was the most rewarding? When my kids said, Dad, for a long time, we were angry with you. We did not know why you missed these special occasions where we wanted you to be there, to stand up and applaud and say, that's my son, or that's my daughter. We were angry with you, but now we know. You're graduating from college. We have no college loans. We go out places and they say, you're Les Brown's daughter? You're Les Brown's son? That you have a reputation for changing people's lives. And now we have dreams and goals that we want to achieve. Now we know that in order to do it, it's going to be some sacrifice. And now we understand. But at the time, we were too young to understand. But now, at this stage of their lives, they understand. And when you have something that you are called to do, you have what I call the can't helps it. You know, people who should be there to encourage you and motivate you and inspire you, many times they won't raise a finger to help you. I heard something that said that when you die, there are people who will fly cross country or drive thousands of miles to come to your funeral to support you and say, I knew her, but wouldn't raise a finger to help you to live your dream, to help you to live a life that will stand out, because you decided, I don't want to fit in. I want to stand out by living a life of contribution. The greatest among you will be your servant. And so it's very important that you be aware of the fact that you got to ask yourself the question, who am I? What do I want? What am I willing to sacrifice? Who's going with me? Who should I count on? And who should I count out? Because I wanted to be in a position, my oldest daughter, she slipped 3 weeks ago, dislocated her shoulder, broke her arm, and fractured her ankle. And I'm glad at 78, I can do more than just pray for her. I'm glad that I could say, I got you, baby. Don't worry about your bills. I got you. I will have a team of people working with you until your recovery so that you can get back to your speaking and your coaching. But don't worry about it. Daddy's got your back. But if I had not made this sacrifice, all I would have been able to say, the Lord will bless you, honey. Oh my goodness, this thing called life. You can't make this stuff up.
I thank you, Stephanie. That was amazing. And thank you, Les, for that. We only have about 10 minutes left, but I want to know, and you are known obviously for for being hungry consistently. And I wish I could say it as good as you can say it, but how it's sometimes when we have a calling or we have an idea, it's easy to be hungry in the beginning. How in the world do you stay hungry for 50 years, let alone 5 days or 5 months?
52 years. Don't cut it short.
Wow. Wow.
Because it's who I am. You want to do, Eric, what's in your heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. You want to find something that you love it so much that you do it for nothing, but you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. I gave hundreds of speeches before I ever got paid, and no one could have told me, or the people that knew me when I was working for the Miami Sanitation Department in Miami. I didn't say I was a garbage collector. I said I was a sanitary technician. I had game for the ladies. Oh, behave. No one could have believed that this guy, the dumb twin, DT, the dumb twin, who was labeled educable mentally retarded and failed twice in school, it would have never, including me, predicted that I would train 3,500 doctors around the world on how to communicate with their patients to increase their taking of their hypertension medication for a major pharmaceutical company and earn $640,000 in 1 month. And I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon everybody that's listening, that what I've done, what you've done, the people that are watching us, if they did not know in their heart of hearts that they can do what we've done and even more, they would be going on listening to somebody arguing about who's the GOAT about a basketball game that they can't even afford tickets to. Okay? They would be moving on someplace else. That when you think about something Henry David Thoreau said, do not go where the path may lead. Go where there's no path and leave a trail. Robert Frost, a road not taken. That I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And you are teaching people, and Adora has committed people to live a life not focused on making money, but making a difference, living a life of contribution, being a voice for the voiceless, living a life that matters. That's a stand that you've decided to take with your life. In this world where we are, there people are programmed to be fans, programmed to be engaged in entertainment and turning a deaf ear to people that are victims of human trafficking. There's a quote that I love, that evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. I promoted a speech that I put online that people can Google, and the title of it is, "We have the power to create peace." We have the power to create peace. That's on YouTube. I believe that with everything in me. But we've got to be willing to go all out. Bob Marley was in a fight right before a concert, and he was wounded. And he performed. And a reporter asked him, "You're Bob Marley. You could have easily taken tonight off. Why did you not take the night off?" And he said, "People that do evil in the world don't take a night off. Why should I?" Whoa. And so I believe that you've decided, commit first because of your experience, because there are moments in your life you decided to figure it out first, and that didn't work for you. But once you made the commitment that you're going to do it, you found a way, you figured it out. And because of that experience, now you're sharing it. You're sharing with people your story. There are people listening to us now, and they don't realize that story they're sitting on, somebody is waiting on. But you decided, I'm going to talk to people about, no. Don't go to your mind, because we've been programmed to be logical, practical, and realistic. No, live out of your imagination. Einstein said the imagination is the preview of what's to come. Call forth those things that be not as though they were. Commit first. Don't come for me. I did not call her Uber. No.
Amazing. Wow. Well, we just have a few minutes left. I would love any final thoughts that you have for this audience. Again, we could spend all day. This is so much gold. I'm so happy this is recorded so I can watch it back again and again. Just so powerful, the words you were speaking. But I would love to, any golden nuggets or anything you'd like to leave with the audience before we wrap up here at the top of the hour.
I'd like to say to the people that are listening, first of all, thank you. And develop a ritual. When I first get up in the morning, I believe every day is a good day. If you don't believe it, try missing one. All things work together for good for those who love God and for those who are called according to his purpose. Every day won't be a good day, but there's some good in every day. So I write down things that I'm grateful for. I write down 7 things I want to get out of the day. And I repeat this affirmation to myself. Lord, whatever I face today, you and I can handle it. Because life is coming for all of us. Sickness, disease, accidents, tragedies is coming for you, coming for me, coming for our family, coming for people that we care about. And what we must stand on, he'll never leave us nor forsake us. What we must stand on, we were born and preserved for such a time as this. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Bye for now.
Well, Les, the green room is going wild. And you are such a phenomenal, powerful, fierce light on this planet. And you do such a good job of activating the highest calling, God's calling, that design inside of people. And I am so, so grateful. I'm super grateful that some of us will be seeing you live in Atlanta. And I know that you're a stand for the mental health of people, of our children, and for the safety of all children. And I know that event is your gift to the shelter in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so those of you watching, you'll hear about that offer later. There's a special invitation. Les, your being here one more day on the planet is going to ripple and ripple, because the people on this event lead organizations, they lead people, they lead, and I know every life matters, but these are the kind of people that have taken on responsibilities to elevate the planet very intentionally. So thank you so much for your contribution.
I thank you, and I want to thank you and Eric, because I am who I am because of people like you. My adopted mother, she only had a third grade education, but she was unstoppable. She never had any children herself, but she wanted to raise some children, and she adopted 7 kids, single woman raising 7 kids. And I was the most troubled one. But when people would say, Mamie, you need to take him back to the welfare department, she said, he'll be all right, because I'll whoop his behind till it roke like okra. I'll knock you in the middle of next week. I said, please don't, Mama. But she was an incredible woman, and she inspired me to become the man that I am now. People say, a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man. That's a lie. My mother raised me to be a man and to be respectful and honor your life by making a difference. Thank the two of you for who you are and how you're showing up in the work that you're doing. And it's an honor to participate and to support you. Always strive to get on top in life, because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Here's a Les Brown special quote: shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Bye for now.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Les Brown. Let's show the love in the chat for him. Everybody, it's been an honor to have you on, and thank you so much for all that you were done in your life and your contribution. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Wow.
I think we could just end right there. Unbelievable. Wow. I'm rarely speechless, but I'm speechless right now, Adora.
Yeah, me too. I the same. I mean, when Les is speaking, those words, activating is the word that I get. It's like they take on a life of their own inside of me, inside of you, inside of it's just wow. They're potent, and the vibration of them is crazy high level. It's congruent. It's, it just, wow.
Well, it's amazing when we start at such a high level. I saw people with tears in their eyes. All the comments were amazing. But we're just getting warmed up. We're just beginning. We got the fire started now. How about we roll right into our next incredible contributor?
Awesome. Let's do that. And everybody share. I'm getting notifications. Some of you didn't get notifications right away. So please, in that generosity and that activation, share on your wall. And yes, I'm super excited. Our next speaker we had on our last event, she is my personal tax strategist. I learned about her from Alex Sharfin, who you probably know. He's her tax strategist. And she was a former IRS agent who helps entrepreneurs pay zero taxes ethically, legally, in compliance, and to actually grow wealth. And she will be with us in Atlanta, sharing the stage, really diving deep with entrepreneurs. So I am so excited to bring Carlotta Thompson. Hello to the
Hey,
stage.
how are you?
Very good.
Thanks
How are
so much for
you?
having me. It's so cool. Like, I know this wasn't planned, but like, Les is so spiritual, and you're fixing to you're gonna see in just a second. Like, my whole business started for ministry, so it's really cool just like coming after him because we have the same heart, and a lot of the things he said, like that's why I do what I do. So I'm super excited to share with the audience how to pay zero tax. So I just want to make sure that our presenter slides are working, and that we can go right into that. Let's see. Share screen
And I was thinking about that as you're working on that. I was thinking about that of your hearts and how beautiful, how beautiful that is. So I'm going to remove myself from the screen, and we'll get with the team to make sure your slides get shared. I think we got to add them to the stream just like that.
Awesome. All right. Can y'all see everything?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So a few years ago, I was sitting across from a taxpayer just like you. And he said, Carlotta, you're about to ruin my life. And see, I didn't know when I decided at 14 to start studying tax law. And when I was 18 going to college for taxes, that would be my destiny. I knew I wanted to be an IRS agent. It was like the lifelong dream. But I thought that the IRS was there to help entrepreneurs, and I was naive. And so while I was sitting across from that taxpayer, he was crying, I was crying, and he was like, Carlotta, if somebody would have just explained this stuff to me. I had the best accountant. I have the best legal representation, but no one came on and was like, hey, this is what you need to be doing. And so from that conversation, I started a ministry at night helping entrepreneurs pay less tax because I was running their lives during the day. And so God was using me at night to help entrepreneurs. And so a few years later, I left the IRS, although I thought I would be there forever. I loved the IRS because I was able to have learned so much education, but God just really moved me to a different space. And so now I help entrepreneurs pay zero tax legally. And I've never presented these specific slides. We've added some stuff. And so bear with me. Hopefully this is amazing and you love it. But it is something a little different. And so if you watched me before, the first 10 minutes might be the same, but then you're going to see like we're really showing you something extremely amazing today. So the event's recorded. I have to tell you that because I am federally licensed, and I have to tell you that this information is for educational purposes only and cannot be used to fight the IRS unless you are my client, because your situation may be different. The reason why I do what I do is because I believe that entrepreneurs are philanthropic, and if I can help them pay less tax, they're going to give it to the things they believe in. Obviously, all of our beliefs are not the same. For me, my ministry is what has always been the driving factor in everything that I do with tax strategy, and I don't know how many of you believe in the Holy Spirit, but I had a Holy Spirit intervention about a year ago. God told me I had to start this school. It's based on education, evangelism, and entrepreneurship. So we teach kids how to do all the things that we feel like God is leading them to do, and how to make money and be an entrepreneur so they can profit on purpose. And so this is who I am. I am, like I said, an ex-IRS agent. I have trained other IRS agents, EAs, CPAs across the country. And now I help entrepreneurs pay zero tax. These are my kids, and everyone always has to show their kids because that's, like no one wants to see my kids probably. But anyways, all right. So this is what we're going to talk about. Congress and the IRS wants you to pay less tax. How many of you believe that? Like if you're on this streaming, how many of you guys believe the IRS wants you to pay less tax? Or Congress, really? Anybody? A few. The exact pathway to take you from paying $10,000 or $10 million in taxes to zero. How many of you want to learn that? And then the one strategy that gives you 3 times in tax deductions and also gives you a 300 times return on investment. How many of you would like to make an investment and you got a 300x return? Not to mention that same investment brought you 3 times in tax deductions. There's nothing else like it. All right, so let's get started. We see the billionaires doing it and we wonder why we don't have someone helping us do the same. All right, how did Trump not pay federal taxes? He used real estate properties, depreciation, strategies for real estate. How did Amazon not pay federal taxes? They used employee wages, research and development, operating costs that go into R&D, hiring credits, WOTC, they renewable energy. That is their strategy. And then last but not least, Musk. Now, Musk is all over the internet talking about his extremely high tax bill because he made one of those entrepreneur moves and bought Twitter and had to sell off his stocks. But every other year, Musk doesn't pay any taxes. How? Because he uses credits and deductions that are available to all of us. But why doesn't everyone do this stuff? First of all, it takes time. I know for our clients, we spend 80 to 100 hours on each client doing their done-for-you strategy. The tax code is extremely complex and difficult to navigate. And furthermore, you may not even be prioritizing reducing your tax liability. And obviously, if you don't pay attention, then you're going to pay the government more than you should. So what even is tax strategy? It's 99% of the tax law. It's 99% of all of that crap that thousands and thousands and thousands of pages, and we think it's to hurt us. But it's actually for entrepreneurs and business owners and landlords and those of us who make a difference in the world. All right. Those of us who create jobs, those of us who create housing, those of us who are doing something to better the country, create jobs. And they've given us the tax strategies to be able to do that. All right. So it's also about being proactive about purchases, investments, so that you can take advantage of the maximum deductions and credits. All right. So first of all, you need to know how much in taxes you pay. Dave Ramsey, I heard him saying the other day that if you had to go to the bank every time that you had to pay your taxes, there would be a revolution in this country. But most of you are paying it out of your paycheck or paying it in your payroll or paying it with your employee's payroll, even though you're a business owner, or you're paying it quarterly and you don't really feel it. If you had to go and pay cash every time, it would probably change your life. So if you go and look on your 2021 and 2022 return and you look at lines 18 and 23, add those together, that is how much you're paying in just federal income taxes. This doesn't have anything to do with your Social Security and Medicare taxes. It doesn't have anything to do with your state taxes, personal property taxes, all the other taxes we pay. We're trying to get this down to zero, okay? And if you learn nothing else before you leave here today, it is that $10,000 in tax savings is equal to $70,000 in gross income. How many of you would pay me or a sales rep to make you $70,000 in sales for $10,000? How many of you would do that? Let me know in the comments. Think about it. If you make $7, you have to pay overhead, production costs, employment taxes, payroll, all of the things. And I do a lot with business acquisitions, as you're going to be able to see later in this. Most companies do not make more than 30% profit margin. Some companies make 5 to 10% profit margin. Okay, but I'm using a 30% profit margin because that is what most companies in the country, that's what they're shooting for. That's their goal. So normally you're going to have about $2 left after if you make 7, you pay all of that. 30% profit margins are going to be about $2, and you're going to pay about half of that in taxes. All right. So you got $1 left after you made $7, and that's the good companies. Some of you are probably like, I wish that I made a 30% profit margin, right? One of the examples I'm going to show you today, they're only making a 5% profit margin. So if I save them $1 in taxes, that's equal to $35 for them. Okay. Congress and the IRS want you to pay less tax. Now let's get into this. And I have to go through this. People don't like talking politics, but it is important for me to help you understand why all of these tax laws are in place. The only bargaining power that politicians have is taxes, okay? And so politicians create the tax law and then the IRS enforces them. So everyone thinks that the IRS creates the tax laws. No. Politicians create the tax laws, okay? And so when you've got politicians and they create a bill, all right, in order for that bill to get passed, every politician is going to have a rider on the bill. And so we get things like Augusta Rule coming out of Augusta, Georgia, where you can rent your home to yourself for 14 days a year. And this was meant to be something for the PGA golf tournament. But obviously they can't just say, oh, this is only in Augusta, Georgia. So it's a rule that was created across the country. See, that's how we get all of these loopholes. All they are is riders onto different bills that they want everybody to go and sign off on, everybody in Congress. And so those little bitty loopholes get in the bottom. We call them loopholes. They're just tax laws. The IRS goes in, puts them into the code, and then we have a new strategy, okay? All a strategy is a tax law that you didn't know existed, that no one's talking about because no one talks about the things for entrepreneurs usually, all right? So if so this is how things happen. Congress wants us to further their agenda, right? So like they want, okay, right now they're needing housing. They're needing green energy. Their agenda right now in the White House is very, very much based on green energy. And so we're getting all kinds of strategies that are coming out for us with green energy. But let's go back, because a lot of you don't know what's happening right now, right? Because people are usually a couple of years behind on their taxes, like the education. I have to stay in front of everyone, but most accountants really are dealing with what the tax laws were last year or the year before. And so let's go to last year or the year before, when COVID was the big thing. So during COVID, what did they give us whenever they wanted us to hire more people? Or keep people on whenever we were struggling in our business. The dumbest time to hire or keep people on, we would have not have done that had we not been given some kind of incentive, because it wasn't possible. So the government gave us a tax strategy. They gave us employee retention credit. When Congress wants us to buy physical goods, when they need us to spend more money in the economy, this happened again during COVID because everyone was like, oh my gosh, like we can't spend our money. There's this crisis. They gave us more bonus depreciation. When Congress wants us to hire a certain type of employee, like maybe someone who's been on SNAP benefits for a long time, or they've been on unemployment for a long time, the government gives us what's called a WOTC credit. See, these credits and these deductions people usually don't know about because they have to happen during the year of the tax year. And you don't talk to your accountant until after the year ends. So you miss out on all of the things that you need to be doing at the current time. I could go on and on. Energy credits, empowerment zones, opportunity zones. There's all of these things that accountants are not telling you because their goal is to get the tax returns done. Okay. And I can tell you this from the perspective of me having an accounting firm. When I used to have an accounting firm, and I created the firm because I wanted to focus on tax strategy. But what do you think took precedence? In an accounting firm, when you're doing tax strategy, taxes, and bookkeeping, what do you think took precedence? the tax returns because they have a deadline. Second was the bookkeeping because the bookkeeping had to be done for the tax returns. And what always goes last? Tax strategy, because tax strategy is not required, right? And so I had to break out the two companies because I was not willing to make tax strategy go last. So I had to do away with the accounting and the bookkeeping and just focus on tax strategy because that's the most important part for me. Because if I save you money, that means you can give. And if you can give, you can change the world. See, the IRS wants us to use tax strategy. Our system is used to guide business owners and real estate investors down the exact path to provide the housing and the job opportunities and everything. And you already qualify for all of it. But sadly, has anyone gotten a call from the IRS that said, hey, Stephanie, you missed this deduction? Stephanie, did you get that call? Did anyone else get that call? No. Sadly, they don't care if you overpay as long as you don't underpay. If they want us to pay less tax, let's play their game. Let's talk about the exact pathway to get you to zero. No matter if you're at 10,000, 10 million, 30 million, whatever you're at, it's the exact same pathway. First of all, we need to determine if we want to pay tax like the rich or the wealthy. See, the rich, they're the ones that are driving around town and the nice cars and the nice equipment. And they have all these nice things because their accountant called them in December and said, hey, you need to go buy X, Y, and Z so you don't pay taxes. That's terrible tax strategy. When they could have paid zero taxes just doing what they were already doing. Had they had someone finding them all of the things that they already qualify for. See, the wealthy, on the other hand, they're buying things like the houses and the businesses. They're like the Sam Walton driving around in his old red Toyota pickup truck, owning half the town. And that is what I teach. So the two things that the ultra wealthy always own are businesses and real estate. And you may think, oh, but what about the stock market? What's the stock market? It's just micro businesses, micro shares of businesses. So this is the exact pathway that you can use to get to zero, okay? Start or acquire a business. Most of you here already have a business because you are the ones that are here to grow your business, right? You're here to go from $10,000 months to $100,000 months, right? The next thing is implementing personal tax strategies. All right, so these are the personal tax strategies. I'm just going to run through them, take a picture, go ask someone how to do these, or you can come to one of our other webinars, but I'm not going to spend much time on this. Accountable plan, Augusta rule, SEP, 401k, pay your kids, reasonable comp, S corp, how can I deduct that? All right, so this is how to make your first 100K profit tax-free. Some of you here are making the $10,000 a month, so let's just get you down to zero real quick. $5,000 business use of the home, $15,000 business use of vehicle, $3,000 cell phone, $1,000 internet at your home office, $1,000 clothes with your logo has to be on it, $6,000 the Augusta rule, $24,000 pay your kids, $5,000 business meals, $5,000 workcation, $5,000 computer electronics, cell phone, $5,000 in normal furnishings, $10,000 in health insurance, $15,000 in personal items turned business use. There's you $100,000 in tax deductions. Okay. If you want to know more about that, we have a whole different webinar that we go into a lot of that stuff. But let's move forward because implementing business strategies is the next step. And business strategies are usually provided by a specialist that focuses on specific credits. These are usually not done by your accountant because accountants hear of these credits, but they require a lot of work outside of just preparing a tax return. All right. You may have heard of the Augusta rule or paying your kids, but usually the business strategies are not done by the accountant. They're done by a lawyer, engineer. It's things like employee retention credit. See, a lot of you have heard of that because there's a lot of money in it for the people who do that credit. But the rest of these things, usually people don't hear about. It's the ADA tax credit, empowerment zones, opportunity zones, ERCs, small business health insurance credits, ESOPs, fringe benefits, work opportunity credits, cost segs, R&D credit. And there are a ton more, okay? So first you're going to do your personal strategies, then you're going to do your business strategies, all right? Then you're going to purchase and implement real estate strategies. Now, real estate strategies are another set of strategies. This is like depreciation equal to cost segregation, step up in basis upon death, 1031 exchanges, real estate pro strategies, opportunity zones, upside is the tax shield, lower ROI. They're lower ROI than businesses, but also less investment. And you guys might be wondering why I'm going so fast. I had 25 minutes to share this. So I don't have a lot of time, but I'm giving you the overview because you guys are coming to the live and you're going to hear us speak more in depth on these things, though I'm just giving you a taste, okay? And at the end, we have this really cool free training that we're giving you that's like 5 hours. So when you are looking at this, you can get more, but this is what we've got for right now. So this is an apartment example. I bought a 9-unit apartment complex for $290,000. My income per month is $4,500, so $54,000 per year. My net income is $44,000 after taxes. Now, people usually sell apartment complexes and real estate for the income production side. I focus on real estate for the tax deduction side. See, this apartment complex gave me $41,813 of money in my pocket, which is great, okay? I mean, yes, I could make more money with my business, so I wouldn't do it just for that. But the real gold comes in that this unit gave me $85,813 in first year depreciation. Okay, so that $85,000, it wiped out the $41,000 that I got in positive cash flow. So therefore, I paid zero tax on that. Plus, it gave me another $44,000 in tax deductions to offset against my other businesses because I'm a real estate pro. Like, that's the power of real estate. All right, that's why I use it. And next, which is why what I am talking about today is acquiring a business and implementing acquiring another business and implementing strategies. So step 1, buy or grow your current business. Step 2, implement personal tax strategies. That's going to get you, most people that are making under 100,000, you're going to get to zero with just that, and you can stop. Step 3 is implement business tax strategies. Step 4 is invest in real estate. I know if I'm going to make $5 million in my accounting firm, my tax strategy firm, then all I need to do is invest about $20 million in real estate that year. And that's going to get me to zero taxes. And then last, but definitely not least, is acquiring additional businesses. All right. So I know this is a lot, guys. Don't worry. There's going to be more. But I want you to get a taste of like how to get to zero, because that's the most important thing. Get to zero so that you can give more of your money to the things that you love. All right. So secret 3, the one tax strategy that gives you 3x in tax deductions and also gives you a 300x on your investment. How many of you would like to invest $100,000 and get $300,000 in tax deductions and $300,000 a year every year for forever? Raise your hand if that sounds like something you want to do. I'm going over here to things. All right, y'all, come on. Who do we got? Somebody want to do that? Awesome. Okay. So this is next. Business acquisitions. A lot of people are talking business acquisitions right now for the wrong reason. It is not a secret that having a business is the #1 way to tax-free wealth. You may think it is real estate, but having a lot of real estate is usually considered a business past a certain level. Okay. Well, we'll talk more on that later, but real estate is not the #1 way to pay zero taxes. You should be acquiring a business if you have a business that is not netting more than $500,000 in income and your biggest concern is paying less tax. Or you have a business, but you haven't been able to get it to gross income over $1 million. Yes, you can use this program, but in a year, if you're still not over $1 million, look at acquiring a business. Or you don't have a business. All right, guys. I had a really hard time last night because I was like, my favorite thing is like looking for businesses for sale. And I was like, oh, I don't want to share these because like I want to go buy them. But I found this one. I'm going to give y'all one because I'm really interested in a lot of the other ones. It took me 5 minutes to find this. This is a commercial printing service. Now, you just said you would want to do the strategy I just said, but this one is better. The seller is wanting to pursue out of their interests. This is a 40-year-old business. The employees, there's 10 of them. We want to make sure that the business has 10 employees or more, that the business has been around for at least 10 years. The asking price is $1.050 million. The down payment with an SBA loan is $100,500. Okay? Now, I'm using this example, and some of you are like, I can't get that much, which I know somebody who does down payment assistance. But anyways, we won't even go there. I get excited if y'all can't tell. The business would be valued at $2,236,698 based on everything that I've seen on this company. But they're selling this thing for $1,050,000. That's a crazy in itself. I'm not even going there. But guys, this business has $987,626 of FF&E. That means that first year, when you buy this business, you get $987,626 in tax deductions the first year. How many of you guys are like, you know that you have $1 million in income to offset, and you're like, I would love that. Holy crap. I pay $100,000. I get $987,000 in tax deductions my first year. On top of that, the cash flow means in your pocket money is $400,000 a year. Guys, that's a return on investment of 400% a year. All for $100,500. Is your mind blown? Now you see why I do business acquisitions? For me to do this in real estate, for me to get $987,626 in first year deductions in real estate, I would have to pay $4 million for that. $4 million plus a 25% down payment. That would cost me over $1 million. But this guy's is costing $1 million for the whole thing, and all I have to pay is $100,000. How many of you need $1 million in tax deductions? This is insane. Okay, so that's why I focus on business acquisitions. I focus on them for tax strategy. Yeah, the cash flow is great, right? Another $400,000. That'd be great to have $400,000 a year for and this, guys, this company even already has somebody running it. All you have to do is be an operator. I mean, you don't even have to be an operator. There's already an operator there. Insane. Okay, so that is why I do what I do. All right, that's why I focus on business acquisitions as our end all be all. If you see me before, you know I focus a lot on personal strategies. We do that throughout the year for clients. We do done for you tax strategy. Then we do business strategies. But we're sold out for the year. We already have as many clients as we can take care of there. And that the second half of the year is always focused on real estate and business acquisitions, because we know that's the fastest way to get to zero, period. So Monopoly is the perfect game to teach this. All of you played Monopoly when you were kids, but you didn't realize that the railroads and the waterworks and the utilities are the businesses. Let that sink in. So you've got the real estate, that's your great equalizer. But then you have businesses spread throughout, because that is where you make your money. So do you mind if I show you how to make this tax incentivized acquisitions a reality? Anybody want this? You're going to go to zeropathway.com. Zeropathway.com is just going to give you a free 5 hours, guys. And I'm telling y'all, the guys that are watching this, I have a client that watched this 3 times all the way through, and he's bought 2 businesses last year in December. And you know how much in tax he's paying? 0. He's a physical therapist. He bought things that didn't have nothing to do with his business, a sweeping business, parking lot sweeping, and like a boat business. Nothing to do with physical therapy. But he knew he wanted to get to 0. Changed his life. So if you guys want, that's our free opt-in, 5-hour training on business acquisitions. It'll change your life, and it's free. So go to zeropathway.com and get your free training. And I appreciate you guys for letting us be here and share the stage with all of these amazing speakers. Hopefully I didn't go too fast, but 25 minutes is just not a lot of time to speak. I actually think I went over anyway, but hopefully we're not too off track here. So I appreciate you guys. Adora, any questions for me?
Yes, first of all, that was phenomenal. And it got me really excited about year 2 because I know, and the second half of the year, because even with someone great like you, I'm like, taxes, right? And it really takes support. So I'll be jumping in on all the resources that you offer us. It's so valuable. And we actually put some padding so we would have time to ask you questions. And sometimes live events, and with Les being our lead. So we're good. And that was fast. I know people are going to have to watch the replay to get those. Like, there was one point where you're like, da 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 da. It was so fast, but amazing. Eric, I want to give you the opportunity to ask any questions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I would love what you look for when you're looking at buying a business. And there's our website or a resource. Not that we want to be in competition with you to buy the business, but we'd love to be able to see what your process is about that.
Right. So if you go look at this, like I'll go to this site, because that's no secret. But this is what I specifically look for because I'm doing it. There's 2 different reasons you would buy a business: for tax deductions or income, right? And so I'm looking for 10 employees or more. Okay. I'm looking for a business that's been around for at least 10 years. This business has been around since 1983. And I want to know I want to know what they have in assets. So you really don't need FF&E unless you are doing this for tax purposes. But you want to make sure that your cash flow is at least 30% of the asking price. This one's great. It's 40%. This is a slam dunk. I was going to call my friend last night and tell him about it because I was like, holy crap, like this is amazing. Because guys, if you look at this one, you're paying the asking price is $1 million, your down payment's $100,000, but FF&E is almost $1 million. Like that's rare. Okay. But anything with over 10 years in experience, over 10 employees, and you want your cash flow to be over 30% of the asking price. And you also want the asking price to be, you want the gross revenue to be over $1 million. Okay. So, because think about it in your own business, if you're under $1 million, were y'all able to see my screen? When I had that, okay, so it's bizbuysell.com. But think about this. If you're under $1 million, just like in your business, you're still struggling. You don't have the processes in place. You usually don't have the employees in place. You don't have the operations in place. But once you get over $1 million, it's very hard to operate. Now, I know there's a lot of people on here that are in the internet entrepreneur space, but in a normal brick and mortar business, it's really hard to operate under $1 million or over $1 million and have no operations. So usually they've got all the operations in place. They're a steady business. They've been around for a long time. And why are people selling these businesses? Do y'all understand that there's thousands of businesses going up for sale a day or being shut down because baby boomers are retiring? So a lot of these things, they're just going to say the reason for leaving is retiring. These are old businesses that have been around forever. But my family owned a donut shop and they wanted me to take it over. And I was like, I don't want to be in the donut business. Like I grew up in that. It's so hard. But other people look at that and they're like, oh my gosh, this donut business is making a killing. And I'm like, you couldn't pay me to take that thing. And so a lot of people, they're wanting their kids to take it over and their kids don't want to take it over. And so they just close the doors or they sell it. Most businesses don't sell. So there is no competition because there's more than enough for all of us. If all of us on this thing went and bought a business, there would still be more than we could all buy. Like they're everywhere. And so that is why I'm so passionate about business acquisitions.
So I think I'd probably buy the donut business. That was my very first job at 12 years old, selling donuts from business to business on the streets of Salt Lake City, Utah. Sincerely, I did buy a restaurant one time because I thought, hey, what a cool thing it would be to buy a restaurant. Worst 5 minutes of my life. I'm telling you, we spent several months trying to open it. Of course, it wasn't an established business. It was newer. And I listed it for sale the day we opened.
Yeah, you cannot do
Fortunately,
that. 10
yes,
years
I'm
in
like,
business.
we hadn't even opened. I am out of here. I had like 120 18-year-old employees. It was awful. And I ran and I listed it. Fortunately, it sold in a couple of months and I got my life back. It was amazing. This is very different from that, obviously.
Yes, I don't buy restaurants or anything
Yes.
to do with a donut. Like, no.
Yes.
But there is certain industries I like. And with anything in business, you know, Les was talking about how you have to be passionate about it. Guys, I could talk taxes for hours. Like, you can't shut me up when we're talking taxes. And my husband's like, you need a hobby. And I'm like, this is my hobby. So obviously, when you're looking at businesses, it needs to be something that you're interested in. Like this business, I mean, how many of us need commercial printing services? All of us, if we're in a business, like especially an online business, we're always printing stuff. So something that's either an extension of your business or that you like we were looking at a gun range. We like, our families like to hunt, and it was a gun store and a range in Florida. So you don't even have to be close to it. We're in Arkansas, it's in Florida. So yeah, you have to do something you like to do. That's what it comes down to.
When you get the business. One thing I want to know is when you're analyzing these businesses, you said that one gentleman got businesses that had nothing to do with his physical therapy. So are there exceptions? Was it that there was an operator in place, or how? Yeah.
So in those businesses, they were close to it. That's important if you don't know anything about the business, and also first of all, they were close to him, and that was something that was important to him. For me, it's not important for me. Number two is they were something anyone can operate. Okay. You don't have to be, I'm in a group of entrepreneurs who obviously buy businesses because I teach them to buy businesses. And sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, there's this accounting firm for sale. If you can't go and file the taxes on the deadline when all of your employees don't show up to work, don't buy the business. Like, I'm not going to go buy a dental office because I don't know how to fix somebody's teeth. But a parking lot sweeping business, how hard can that be? Well, boat rental business, like how hard can that be? Anyone can do those kinds of businesses. So I do stay away from restaurants, even though most people could do those, because they just usually, in SBA, all of their statistics, restaurants are the highest rate of going under. So I stay away from restaurants. Some people love restaurants. It's just not for me. I tend to like more things that my husband can do, like if it's something that he can fix or something he could go run if needed. So I wouldn't buy anything, even like an insurance firm. Yes, I could run an insurance firm, but I need another business. Like I need nothing. Like, no, thank you. If there's an operator in place, that's going to give me the confidence to do it. Or if I can send my husband down there to do it. Like,
Carlotta, so I have a question about expenses, but a minute ago, I thought anybody could do parking lot sweeping. Then I was like, well, we're from the South. She has great. No, it's that her husband could go do it.
Well, this business, so you just drive a vehicle around and it sweeps the parking lot. Okay, like anyone could really do that. So it's not, you're not trying to hire skilled labor, but like if it was a construction business, like if I've looked at a lot of heavy machinery equipment businesses, right? That would scare the bejeebies out of most people because you don't know how to do it. But my husband was a diesel mechanic, right? So he could, if everything failed and the operator died, my husband could go take it over. And that's what I hang my hat on. It has to be something either I understand or he understands or could do, even if the operator it ceases to exist. Okay. So that's what I'm really looking for. Something that I'm passionate about, something that would do well with my business, something I can operate. One of those things have to click.
Awesome.
And tell me really quick about the SBA process. I mean, I did an SBA loan years ago, mainly for business expansion, but I've never actually used it I've seen the 10% down program. I've never used it to be able to buy a business. Is that like what's the process? Is it like buying a home? I mean, we all know how it is to get a loan when you're a business owner, but what's that process?
It's actually a lot easier, I think, to get a business loan because they're not going based on you. They're going based on the business. So they're buying, the SBA is investing in the business. So it's not so much like, Can you afford this? But can the business afford this? As far as the process, it's a lot of paperwork, but it's not terrible. And we use SBA for a lot, but the guy that I told y'all bought 2 businesses, he actually got both of those for 10% down and no SBA loan. I think he got both of those owner financed. A lot of these deals are getting owner financed. Can you imagine? Like, it's crazy, but these people just want out. They want to retire, and their options are shut down and get nothing, or owner finance. But SBA is pretty easy, and they're actually making it easier. They just passed some laws this past year to make it easier for people to buy businesses. So if you've done an SBA before, the process is going to be even easier. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow. And is there anything, what's the top tip? I mean, we're halfway through the year and you're not taking any more clients this year. But what's the top tip when you think of people that are probably already at 10K, maybe at the 100K months, but that they can implement right now to be set up to win when it is the end of year?
I would say if you are at $10,000 months, and I'm talking net 100K, okay? So if you're at net 100K, there's so many things that you can probably do that are on that first list. But if you're at net 200 to 300, you should start looking at real estate. That's going to be the easiest thing. And if you're not a real estate pro, you could take my same example and do Airbnb. So look at buying an Airbnb property. And you'll need to manage it through the end of the first year that you own it, through the end of December. If you are at $1 million or over in net after expenses, you really should start looking at business acquisitions. But real estate's really a lot easier to get into, right? It's like, go buy a piece of real estate and you're good. And as long as I'll have people that buy in December, rent it out one time, and then they turn it to a management company in January. But you do have to manage it yourself through the end of the first year. So that's probably what I would say. Now, if you are a newer business and you're not an LLC, that's probably the number one tip I would say. Everyone should be an LLC if they're not an S. Like, people will get confused on like S Corp, LLC. If you're not filing as an S Corp right now, the number one thing you should do today is become an LLC, because then you can do some strategies that you couldn't do otherwise. And people are like, well, what's the difference in an LLC and S Corp? Guys, the government, the IRS does not recognize LLC. So an LLC can do whatever it wants to do. It can be an S Corp, it can be a partnership, it can be regular. But if you're not a corporation right now and you're not an LLC and you are just a sole proprietor, go open an LLC today. That's the number one tip I have for you.
And it's really easy to do that too. I mean, it's really simple. You get your EIN and then you file with your state and your articles and your operating agreement. It's so easy to incorporate, or I shouldn't say incorporate, to get your LLC going. It's not even funny.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, if you're already a corporation, if you're an Inc., you don't need to do this. But if you're a nothing except, Eric hung a sign outside and opened his business, then if you get a 1099, then you need to be an LLC. So that's the number one thing when you can't do strategies, because there's no one doing strategies. We're the only firm in the country that implements tax strategies on a monthly basis, and we're sold out. So I would say come to our well, we're going to be going over a lot more at the live event, right? So I'll have a lot more tips there. But watch that business acquisitions workshop, look at real estate. That's what I'm going to say, other than become an LLC.
Oh, amazing. We're just a few minutes away from bringing up our next contributor, but any other last thoughts for our audience? Any other last words? I would say if you are under $100,000 in income right now, before expenses, like you're at your $10,000 a month, that's usually going to mean gross before expenses. Your focus needs to be on sales, and don't worry about the taxes right now. I mean, yes, you've got to file taxes, but you're not going to be paying a lot of taxes, right? But if you're at over $20,000, $30,000 months, your number one expense very quickly becomes taxes.
It's like taxes weren't even a thought. And the next time you turn around, taxes is like your biggest expense. It happens really fast in entrepreneurship, man. I mean, overnight. So if you're at $10,000 months, let's focus on the sales. If you're at $20,000, $30,000 months, boy, you better start focusing on taxes because it will eat you alive. It is the #1 destroyer of wealth.
Wow. Carlotta, thank you so much for that. And thank you for the gift, by the way. I went to the site, I signed up, I'm ready to go. I'm going to watch the webinar there, and I have it literally paused on one of my tabs right now so we can dive in. So let's show the love for Carlotta in the chat. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking of your time and volunteering. You know, I just want to remind everyone what this is all about. Last week, I had an opportunity at my live event in Nashville, and it was incredible to be a part of something that is human trafficking. It's something that I've been involved with for 7 years. And I did share with this group briefly a few months ago about when I adopted a girl from Haiti and she was taken from the orphanage, and we think it was sold into trafficking at the time. And I found out about human trafficking a couple of years later. I didn't even know it existed. But when I had an opportunity to meet Adora in Wise, Virginia last week with Russell Brunson and Justin Benton, a lot of our friends, and spent some time with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, I really was able to connect with an incredible group, Adora, and you and your friends and the people at Project Uprise. And I didn't know anything about Project Uprise, but I found out that they were on the same mission that I was on, which was to eliminate human trafficking. That's why this entire thing exists. Our mission is to, #1, eliminate human trafficking. #2, help entrepreneurs make an explosive amount of money and impact so that we can help fund the elimination of human trafficking. And I told the story in its entirety, showed the YouTube videos that were on the news about this adoption went bad and all of these things on stage for the first time in 10 years last week. And I saw entrepreneurs open up their hearts and their pocketbooks, and it was a miracle. I'm calling it the miracle on stage. And we're looking for more miracles here for the next 3 days. Really 2 miracles. #1, that you take the advice that you've been given from Les Brown and from Carlotta and pretty soon Stephanie Dove Blake, and use it to change your business and use it to change your lives. Use it to make the impact that you want to make in the lives of others and the income that you've always wanted to make. I can tell you right now that there are things, as Les Brown would say, that God cannot call you to do because of the level of income that you're at right now. I know that I can make so much more of a difference when the business is humming and things are going well. Not only do I feel better, but I make income to be able to make a difference. And tomorrow, we're going to give you a couple of great, incredible opportunities. #1, who wants to see Les Brown live in Atlanta? Oh my goodness, who wants more of that, but in person? I've never seen Les Brown speak in person before. This will be the first time and have a chance to meet him, and what an incredible event that's going to be. But we're going to give you all an opportunity to do that tomorrow, plus give you an opportunity to go deeper and essentially do what you need to do to be at the level of impact and income that you've always dreamed of. Because there is a path, and the time is now. The world's getting crazier. The time is now to finally shed off the limiting beliefs that we have. Put them on the back door for a minute and focus on what you can do to get the impact and income that you've always dreamed of. I mean, you haven't gone this far just to gone this far. You haven't come this far just to come this far. There's an opportunity right now to rise up to the level of impact and income that you can have. So that's why I just wanted to remind everybody, that's why we're here, for you and for the children. And very few organizations connect both seamlessly, because essentially all the profits go to help Project Uprise, to be able to help the home in New Mexico to find for aftercare and eliminating human trafficking. And Adora, you can probably speak more to that. I think you're muted, but I'd love to give your insight. I'd love to get your insight on that.
Yeah, and I just want to bring it back to what you said of when we flew into the Napoleon Hill Foundation. You were literally flying the jet, and it was such a small group. And right before we flew in, that's monumental and meaningful to be there with 12, 15 people, in this kind of private place. But right before that, Livia had brought to me this vision of entrepreneurial activism and of, getting behind the very effective nonprofit organizations that are not great at fundraising. And she started with mission 1 of the harbor. And the Dream Center, or the harbor inside of there, that intercepts, rescues, and houses children from sex trafficking. And right now, they're opened until 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And we have a vision of them being open 24/7 so that kids don't go on the street. And I was sitting with that, and not many people knew what was brewing in me. And for some reason, I shared it with you. It was fresh on my heart, and I just, shared it. And the tears started, welling up in your eyes. And I didn't know. I didn't know what you had been through with your own child. I didn't know how much money you had raised already for this cause. And it was just one of those, what Les has called those God moments, the divine moments where you're going, all right, this is my yes, an absolute yes, that we get to commit first and figure it out. And so, everybody here, every speaker you're going to see, we've come from the spirit of contribution, and everybody here, they're professionals that are highly paid professionals that really know how to get you over the line. Many of them have earned, like you, the $10 million award that is beyond the 2 Comma Club award in helping entrepreneurs get over the line. So that is our mission, to powerfully, and we're learning as we go right with you. How do we give you real value that will actually move the needle, value that we normally charge for, that we move you to other, but how do we give that and get you over the line so that you're thriving, blessed, abundant, and at the same time, give more money than we have ever, or been able to move to this very important mission. And as we get it down, I see a movement of not just us, but everybody here. I feel people getting activated with contribution and its power in their lives to move them to be more, do more, show up for the community and for humanity. So I'm super excited. And I know our next guest is someone that has a huge heart and that you're a super fan of. And I got to see briefly as she asked a question. So whenever, Eric, if there's anything you want to share before we bring her on. Yep.
So I am so excited to introduce our next guest, Stephanie Dove Blake. And oh, by the way, I have to show you something here. Stephanie is the author of The Owners. And I was able to contribute to this book. I wrote a chapter in this book, and this is an incredible book for those that essentially want to build a limitless agency. But she's been an agency owner for many, many years. She is a speaker as well. She spoke at Funnel Hacking Live last year. If anybody know what that is, 5,000 entrepreneurs. That's Russell's deal with ClickFunnels. She was on the stage. She released the book at the same time, and just it was a mic drop speech. It was so amazing to watch her speak at Funnel Hacking Live, which is amazing. And she also has a very important message, which is tied to the question that she asked Les Brown this morning, by the way, about how you can build this extraordinary business and just kill it in that. But at the same time, don't lose your family. I know a little something about that, having the family that I have and being an entrepreneur. Yes, I will hold it up again, Jana, for you. I think you can get it on Amazon right now. Stephanie, will you drop the link for them so that they can get this book, The Owners? It was a bestseller, by the way, when it was released too. But I know that she is absolutely committed to helping entrepreneurs to rise to the things that they want to and not lose their family. And as I said, I know a lot about that, being an entrepreneur now for 20 years. I'm aging myself a little bit. And running children and kids and having teenagers and all kinds of things. It is very difficult to do. And from the one hand, we're so passionate about our businesses. On the other hand, it's sometimes so hard to transition at the end of the day and be a dad or a husband. It is one of the hardest things that I do, because it is so, oh, Jan wants a picture. See, we do what you guys in our audience wants us to do here. But let's bring Stephanie to the stream, and she can tell you a little bit more about her, but she is amazing. If you have a chance, please follow her on Instagram, on Facebook, because if you do, I can tell you, you will learn so much, because she has one of the biggest hearts, and she lives in Texas, one of my favorite states. So welcome, Stephanie Dove Blake.
Me too. Hi, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here with you. This morning has been fire. My heart's on fire. My brain is on fire. So much awesome business wisdom, but man, Les just really came in and slayed me this morning in a way that I didn't know that I really, really needed. So I'm so excited to be here and to get to share along these lines, because I know that this event is going to deliver. Like I know you, Eric, I'm getting to know Adora more, and I know that your heart is to deliver, and the people that you have chosen to speak, like Marley Jackson, Danny Theron, and Joel Yee. I mean, all these incredible people that are going to be speaking. Like, I'm just honored to be here. And I know that it's going to be so impactful for everyone here. So all the more reason why I'm so thankful that you let me have the opportunity to come and speak about what I'm going to be talking about today.
Well, thank you. And everybody, please show the love in the chat for Stephanie. All right, take it away.
All right. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Hold on just one second. There we go. So I actually am definitely a business owner first and foremost, you guys. I have absolutely, hold on, let me make sure that's sharing correctly. You guys see, hold on. This may not be the best way to do this, but I'm going to go for it. And y'all just let me know if everything looks okay. But I can't actually look and see if everything's okay unless I look over here. Just one second. I've almost got it. Okay, I think I'm good. Am I okay, guys? Yeah? Does it look good?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
you're
Okay.
okay. We can see it.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. I see Jana and Choi. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but good morning to you too. So what I'm going to bring to you guys today is a little bit different, but I want you to pay attention, because if you listen to what all of these incredible speakers at this event are going to bring to you, you're going to make more money. You're going to be able to make your vision become a reality. But the thing I'm here for you to talk to you with you about is because I've walked the path, guys. I have gotten a 2 Comma Club award. I run a 7-figure business. I get to be in these incredible masterminds, and I've been able to build this awesome thing online, right, with my digital marketing agency. But the thing that has been the most priority for me is making sure I don't lose the kingdom at home. I've got 4 beautiful children. They are ages 10, 15, almost 18, and 21. Okay. And I was a homeschooling mama for about 15 years. And let me just tell you what, it is a juggle and a balance. But here's the thing. We are living in a time that is unlike any other time right now, just like what Les was talking about. And it's so important to understand that what our children are facing and what you are facing as a parent is different than it ever has been before. And so it's so much easier now as we go after our dreams and our visions, and we have let our ambition take the forefront, to actually wake up one day and realize, wait a second, where's my kids? Where's my wife? What's going on, right? Where's my husband? And so I want to talk to you about that today. But first, I want to know, how many of you have kids? Like, just let me know. Put a 1 in the chat over here, if you would please. Support me too, because guys, I want to share this with you, be a little vulnerable with you. This is literally only the second time I've gotten to share this presentation with entrepreneurs, and I'm so honored to be here, and I'm a little nervous. So if you help me out, give me some love in the comment. That's going to help so much. So how many of you have kids? All right. We've got some people with kids. How many of you plan on having kids, or you love someone else's kids in your life, right? You've got kids in your life somewhere. So of all of you guys that are in here right now that have kids, I want to remind you of something that Les Brown said. He said, commit first, right? Man, Eric's book could not be more on point, could it not, right? Commit first to decide that you're going to live a life that will outlive you. And there's multiple ways for your life to outlive you, right? There's the ways of leaving behind awesome books. There's the way of your messages staying behind here on the planet. But I feel like one of the most impactful ways that your life can outlive you is through your children, right? Are you with me? And so in the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'm going to share with you 3 main things. All right. So I'm going to share a powerful concept that actually Russell Brunson learned at a mastermind with Tony Robbins about memories, and how I believe it applies to you and your children in a life-altering way. I want you to get this. It's so powerful. Another thing I'm going to share is one thing that we have to understand about what's happening in our society that will impact our businesses and our world more than any other political issue happening right now. And then the third one is I'm going to show you 3 practical keys to parenting powerfully while building a business empire online. All right, so here we go, guys. My name is Stephanie Dove Blake. I'm a super geek. I love all things Princess Bride, Back to the Future, Labyrinth, Superman, like you name it. I'm super geeky. And that geekiness has served me really well over the years. I didn't think it ever was going to, but I was previously a homeschool mama of 4. turned 7-figure earner. And I just want to tell you guys, in this picture over here on the left, I don't know what you see, but what I see is a very, very tired mama. That beautiful baby in my lap, Journey, she's now 10 years old. She would not stop nursing for like a year. She didn't want real food. She only wanted mama's milk. Exhausted me to no end, hardly ever slept. And these two beautiful children who, honestly, I have out of the box children. We've got all the letters of the alphabet in our family. All right. Anybody else out there have some ADHD and some OCD and some sensory processing and some optional defensive defiant, or all the things, guys? Anybody else out there? Well, we do. I'm an out of the box kind of person. I'm sure I have ADHD. I am kind of all over the place creative. And so in this picture, what I see is a mama who has a heart for her out of the box kids when, unfortunately, the public school system wasn't a great fit for my oldest. He's not pictured in that picture, but I had to homeschool them for multiple reasons. And so I was determined to be able to stay at home with my children, you guys. They needed me in a way that at that time, that public school could not give to my kids. And so I'm here. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to make some money at home, right? And literally, guys, if you were to walk down that hallway right there, that there was actually a bathroom that didn't even work because we couldn't afford to get the hot water fixed. And this is just about 8 years ago, guys. If you walk out to the right, you would have been in our backyard. In our backyard, you would have seen a fence that was being held up by ropes because we couldn't afford to fix the fence, right? And so I was working for a startup online that my friend had started and just doing some techie stuff. She started feeding me courses, everything under the sun. I learned about Jeff Walker's product launch formula, Amy Porterfield's webinars that convert, and anything she wanted, I learned. And so unfortunately, that business was sold about a year in, and I had to find out something else to do. And I honestly didn't know this whole digital world existed. Okay. I had no idea. All I knew was that if I didn't figure something out, I was going to have to go to corporate up in Dallas, and I was going to have to work in corporate in order to make money, and I would not be with my kids. And to me, that was not an option because of what had been going on. So basically, I took a huge leap of faith. There's my beautiful out of the box kids. I took a huge leap of faith in myself, and I reached out to a local chiropractor and I asked him if I could run some Facebook ads for him. This is about 2016. And he, fortunately for me, said yes. And I ran ads for him for free on his ad spend. And that month he got about $60,000 of additional revenue in his practice. And he was freaking out. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd never done anything like that before, especially not on my own, you guys. And so at that period of time, my life was completely changing. He said, what do we got to do to keep this going? And I said, well, the best thing would be if you could tell some people about what we did together. And so we did a webinar together. He invited some of his friends from all over the United States that were also chiropractors. They came onto the webinar, 10 of them to be exact. 9 out of 10 of those guys signed up for my services. You guys, I was freaking out. My entire life changed. From that moment, I hit 6 figures. I think it was at 4 months. And then went on to get up to 7 figures, have made multiple millions of dollars with this incredible agency that is right up my aisle as far as being all the geekiness I love. And it's opened so many doors for me. I was invited to Facebook. I've built an incredible team of over 15 people. I've been on radio. I've gotten to speak on multiple stages. And let me just tell you what, it has absolutely changed my life. It's changed my identity. It's changed everything about what I do. So I went on to create a lot of different types of courses, and I got to coach hundreds of entrepreneurs inside of Russell Brunson's 2 Comma Club X program. Have had so much fun coaching multiple types of businesses. And from all of this, from learning all of this and all these experiences with talking all of these successful entrepreneurs, most of them were completely overwhelmed whenever it came to what they were facing in their home because they just didn't know what they didn't know. And so while I'm still in the trenches, my kids, like I said before, are 10, 15, 18, and 21, and I help fellow entrepreneurs achieve success both in their businesses and in their homes, I'm still there with you. And why do I care? Well, it's because we're living in a time unlike any other. Our children are facing things that we did not face as kids. And unfortunately, most people aren't as geeky as I am to actually understand what's hitting us. And I want to share that with you. And I want to give you some tools to put in your belt. And most of all, I want to just be a rally crier right now for you guys who are head down. You've got a vision. Maybe you're like me. And 8 years ago, I had to find a way to change my stars. We were not making it. We could not afford to, for any extracurricular activities, anything. We were keeping the lights on and everything, but I had to do something, right? And if you are on this call right now, I want to tell you, you're in the right place. They have assembled like an Avengers team here, you guys. You're going to get the business wealth and information the wealth of information that you're going to need in order to get the next steps to scale and grow your business. But I want to make sure that the main thing is the main thing, right? As we're growing and we're building and we're learning all of this awesome stuff. So with that being said, I just want to tell you that this is a judgment-free zone. Anytime you talk about parenting, sometimes people can start to feel like they are being judged. And I'm just telling you, I'm not judging you. Okay. I know that there are so many different situations going on in so many different people's lives, single family homes, blended families, special needs families, families dealing with real sickness and extenuating circumstances, and parents dealing with depression, parents with loss of hope. So check your judgment at the door from yourself. And I have already done so. You are here. This is a safe place. And I'm super excited to be diving in with you. So, first concept I want to share with you that has changed my life and the way I look at the time that my children spend with me and how they spend their time, period, which is event horizons and memory. So I want you to type the name event horizons into the chat for me, because it's going to become a word that I want you to remember for the rest of your life. All right. So I learned about event horizons from Russell Brunson. I mean, a lot. Thank you so much, guys, for participating in the chat. So I'm in a mastermind with Russell for years and years and years now. He's become a good friend of mine, and I just appreciate his wisdom so much, because I'm not only tapping into his wisdom, but the wisdom that he's gaining from all these other people. So Russell was telling us about a time he was at this mastermind with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, all these incredible people there. And it was their second time going to Puerto Rico for this specific mastermind, right? And so they're sitting there in Puerto Rico and they are enjoying their time. I can't remember all the details, but they were sitting at a dinner table, and one of the guys runs up and he's like, guys, we're in Puerto Rico again. We have to do something different. We have to shake this up. Otherwise, our brains are going to mesh the first year with the second year, and it won't be as great. So we have to create some event horizons. Guys, let's go skinny dipping. And he's freaking out. He's the youngest one there. So let's just say they did not go skinny dipping, but the point was made. The point was that, hey, we've got to do something different. We're in the same location. We're kind of doing the same thing. We've got to create these event horizons. And I was like, wow, event horizons, what exactly is that? So event horizons are doing things outside of the ordinary that creates event horizon moments in our memory. So event horizons enhance memory and thus elongate the feeling of life. So if you want to live forever, or at least you want to live longer, or you want to feel like you live longer, pay attention. Event horizons, okay? So Russell then went on to tell us a story about how there was actually an event horizon that took place as soon as they got there at the mastermind. They actually got out of the van. Their kids were super excited. They were there at the mastermind too, came running down to the beach, and what do you know? Their youngest got stung by a jellyfish. And now whenever they talk about that event, what do they talk about? Remember that one time that the youngest got stung by a jellyfish? Right. And that created an event horizon in their memories. They'll probably remember that until they're 70 and 80 years old. That one time this little one got stung by a jellyfish, right? It created a marker in their memory. And so that just goes to prove that event horizons can be both positive and they can be negative. So I started deep diving, as I do as a geek, and I started learning about event horizons and how that crosses over with memory. And we're not talking about the black hole event horizons, although that is super cool. And I wish I could find some way to tie it all in together. But as I began to do my research, I found this guy. He's a professor at Notre Dame, actually. His name is Dr. Gabriel Radvansky. And I looked him up, and it was so funny because my son was actually taking practice tests for some college tests. And it was so crazy. One of the tests actually quoted Dr. Gabriel Radvansky. I was like, what? So I didn't even know how far along or famous this guy was, but I got to interview him and talk to him about this. I got to ask him questions about, what does this look like? And he told me, he said, have you ever blanked out while you were doing something like you get up in the morning and you do your morning routine and you're like, oh, I don't even really remember brushing my teeth. Anybody put a 1 in the chat if that's you, if you felt that way. Or you've gone out driving and your eyes were open the whole freaking time, but it was like you were on autopilot. You don't actually remember driving. Have you ever done that? I know I have. It's scary, but it's true. I have definitely done that. So if that's you, let me know in the chat, because yes, so we're not alone here. So what does the brain remember exactly? The brain works to collapse things that are similar, things that don't seem to matter, that have no significance, right? But the brain remembers these markers that it creates called event horizons, both positive and negative event horizons. So what I want you to do is take just a quick 30 seconds or a minute and think back to your own childhood. What were some of the event horizons that you actually can remember right now if you think back to your childhood? So for me, there's a couple event horizons that come to mind right away. I remember when these puppies were born, which is just the craziest thing. That's me as a little girl. I'm holding these puppies, and I remember putting them in that red basket. I don't remember much else from that time, but I sure enough remember those puppies. I was thrilled and over the moon to be able to play with those little puppies. And then this middle one here, I went swimming. This water was absolutely freezing. I almost couldn't stand it, but we had the best time. That was my little cousin, and I got to carry her around. Thought it was the coolest thing. And me over there on the right, I lived in Haiti as a young girl, and I can't remember this moment truly, but I remember looking down into those wash basins and learning how to wash clothes, and how the Haitian woman was teaching me how to wash clothes with the lye, and just crazy event horizons in my life. Can you think of did one come up for you? If so, I want you to put a 1 in the chat for me. I want you to see if you've got one in your brain. Another one that also comes to mind is just sitting in the backyard. And I remember looking down, and I had a bowl from the kitchen I'd taken, and I put dog food in the bowl, and I put mud and water, and I was making like these dog food mud pies. Event horizon, guys. Crazy event horizon in my childhood. So, but the question I want to pose to you, and that I'm asking, and what I want to bring here is, what could happen to our children's memories if their time is spent predominantly on a screen, right? I guess that's a book, but predominantly on a screen, right? What will this do to their memory of their childhood? I spent a significant amount of my childhood and tween years, especially after the age of 9, because unfortunately my father passed and we moved, and it was just me and my mom. So I spent a significant amount of my childhood watching movies, playing on the Nintendo or one of the other gaming systems I have. And I can tell you, I literally have no significant memories of all of the gaming and all of the movies that I watched. My husband does have some memories of gaming, but it was only whenever a group of friends were over and they were actually gaming with him. So when our children look back at their childhood, will they remember that one time they placed number 1 on Fortnite? Will they remember the hours spent scrolling on social media? Or is it possible that we'll all run together, equating to a shortened sense of childhood, right? So we have a problem here. I want to talk to you for just a second. I don't know if you've ever seen this, or maybe you see this in your life with teenagers, or kids that. But what's the average screen time for teenagers right now in our society? The average adolescent has a daily screen time of 7.5 hours. U.S. teenagers between 11 to 14 years old spend 9 hours in front of a screen daily. 9 hours, guys. So what's the recommended healthy screen time for a teenager? 2 hours a day. We're over triple the amount of time that our kids should be spending, according to the experts. So we've got a problem, guys. And I wanted to show you this because this right here blew my mind. I still honestly can't believe it. I even tried to fact check this thing whenever I found it, because I was like, that can't be right. That can't be true. But it's true. So this circle over here on the right side is actually the music industry, the recorded music industry. This is the global revenue for that. $19 billion in 2018, okay? And then here's the box office. The global revenue for the box office in 2019 was $43 billion. Now this right here, this big orange circle, is online gaming. In 2019, it was $152 billion, guys. This is what is vying for our children's attention right now, okay? Whenever I think of the music industry, whenever I think of the movie industry, my brain still thinks those things are gargantuan. It's massive, huge industries here. How could it even compare to what's going on with online gaming? But here it is in black and white, guys. It is insane the amount of money that is being spent on this area and this industry. So Les Brown said, radical times call for radical change this morning, right? We are living in radical times, not just in political issues and, all these different areas, but radical times in what is actually happening just right here in our homes. And some of us, we just don't know what we don't know, right? And I want to say something before I continue on. I am not anti-technology. I am a huge geek. You should see my office right now. I have devices everywhere. I have an iPad, a laptop. I actually still play a video game. I play Fallout Shelter on my phone. My husband games, my kids game. We have social media. I am not anti-technology. I am just so pro connection. And so I want to say to you that the answer isn't just removing screens or screen controls. It is much, much, much bigger than that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself really quickly. This is my beautiful mother. Unfortunately, I lost her in my early 20s, and my father in whenever I was 7 years old. But the one thing my mother did so incredibly, and I don't even know how she managed to do it at the time, but she actually bought me a computer whenever I was about 9 years old. And I'm telling you what, I felt like a fish to water whenever I got that computer. I had seen the movie The Net by Sandra Bullock. I was going to be a hacker. I was like the good hacker, not the bad hacker, guys. I was building websites. I was in Merc, like chat channels. I'm talking coding things, super geeky stuff. I even dropped out of high school to become a network engineer and work in server rooms and all of that kind of stuff. And so, computers and gaming has always been a part of my life. And then I met my high school sweetheart, John Blake. And the thing that we shared the most was our love for gaming and Jesus. We played Warcraft and loved all the games, and we got married, and I'm still married to this incredible man, and I adore him. But things started happening. So we would play these MMORPGs. All right. So if you hear me and you're still awake with me, type MMORPG into the chat. That's a challenge for you. It's like, what even is that? Right. So it's a massive multiplayer online role-playing game is what that stands for. And I'm going to wave my really geek flag high here. I used to play, I had a character called Fire Dove. Dove is my middle name. It's actually my middle name. And my husband was Orome or one of his other characters. And we would go on these adventures together in this make-believe world. And we would have to do all these things like kill raid bosses and all sorts of stuff, level up our skills. And I was the healer. He was the tanker, super geeky, right? But we loved it. And it was so much fun, right? Then we started having kids. And I stopped playing as much. And my husband kept playing. And what started to happen was actually my husband became addicted to video games. And so that was something I never saw coming. He would stay up late at night, and be really sleepy the next day. And then throughout the day, he would, all of a sudden just disappear. He's here with us, and all of a sudden he disappeared. And he was like, had to go check his stuff because he had set up a store for whatever. There was even times when I came in and he had his mouse set up to where it had tape on it, and he had this rig, and he'd figured out macros, and he was farming during the day. And let me just tell you, my husband is amazing at these games. Right. And what I want you to hear me say is that these games aren't the games of your time. They're not Atari. They're not Super Mario. These are games where there is a lot of skill that goes into them, a lot of strategy. And especially when you're playing MMORPGs and you have a team or a guild that you're a part of, sometimes you can have 50 to 60 people depending on you, especially if you're planning a raid. I know it sounds so crazy and so wild, but listen, in today's world, many of us have this ambition inside of us, and we want to fight for something. We want to stand for something. And a lot of time for men, when they get into these kind of games, and young boys, even young girls, you find significance here, right? Whereas you might turn away from the computer and face your 9-to-5 job. And unfortunately, you don't see significance there. You don't see a battle to fight for. Sometimes that's just a vision problem. But seriously, there's this intense sense of power, of heroism, and there's escapism. So instead of choosing drugs or alcohol, we might choose to escape into a device, into social media, into video gaming, whatever it might be. Some men choose to escape into sports. Anybody know anybody like that? I have a friend. Wow, just so enveloped in sports. Sports are everything. So many hours and time spent there. And should we entertain ourselves? Yes, guys. I'm talking about going beyond just entertainment, right? So my husband was getting addicted. And what I realized, it's not just a game. It's not just a game. I knew it because I'd lived it. I played it, right? So whenever I'm seeing my husband honestly kind of become a shell of a man, what was happening and what happens to our children and what happens to people is you go and you do play these games, and our sense of ambition, our sense of accomplishment and wanting to do something great, it gets pacified. You get this shell of experience, and you feel like all of your ambition has been fulfilled. It's an ambition sucker. And most of the time people don't even realize it. So you've done all this awesome stuff. So it's almost like internally and subconsciously, check. I did this awesome thing today. Check. I have significance, right? If we go to, what is it? Maslow's? No. Oh, Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs. And so video gaming can tick off a lot of that, guys, especially whenever you go in, and especially if you're good. So my husband's gaming, and I'm telling you guys, we've never really truly fought or been in a horrible, horrible place, but this was elongated. I'm talking over a year and a half, 2 years of just knock down, drag out. He'd give it up, he'd go back, he'd give it up, he'd go back. And it was so difficult because there's nothing like the deep pain that results when you feel like your husband is choosing a video game over you, because nobody else understands that. Like, everybody's like, why doesn't he just turn it off? Right? It limits the ability to find people who understand and find people who can talk to you. Right? So good news is, through a lot of hard work and through a lot of talking to him and through a lot of just fighting, to be honest with you, he chose us. He gave up his accounts, which I'm telling you, these accounts could have sold for at least $8,000 to $10,000. They were so awesome. But he gave them up. He deleted them completely, and he chose us. And my husband does still game to this day, but it's never been like it was then. We truly experienced a breakthrough. So with that story, I wanted to tell you that back history because I am a gamer at heart. And I've lived through this, and there's some things that I want to share with you that most people don't understand. So first, I'm going to talk about the known problems, and then I'm going to go into the unknown problems. Are you ready? I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. So stay with me. So one known problem is pornography. We know our kids can find pornography so easily. And guys, I want you to know that the current stats are that children are finding pornography as young as 5 and 6 years old. One of my children actually was on a tablet years ago. I had them on YouTube Kids because I was being a good parent, right? YouTube Kids, it's supposed to be safe. But I had told this kid about one of my childhood love characters that I just loved, which was Sonic the Hedgehog. So my kid was sitting there on the iPad and searched Sonic the Hedgehog. YouTube Kids, it's safe, right? No, some deranged individual somewhere had created pornography utilizing Sonic the Hedgehog, and it had made its way onto YouTube Kids. I was in the other room whenever I heard my daughter just being really quiet. And I walked into the room and was like, why is her face looked different. So I was like, what's going on, babe? Pulled the iPad, and I started watching, and I was horrified at what I was seeing and what my daughter had just been exposed to. It was horrific. I'm not exaggerating here. It was awful. And this kid was very, very young. It was horrible. I was like, I'm doing all the right things, right? So if you don't have things set up right now, it's very realistic that your children could be exposed very, very, very early to something they don't need to be exposed to. Secondarily, predators. We know about predators. I was talking to a 12-year-old girl the other day, and she says she gets asked all the time, do you send? And yes, I'm talking about young kids asking other young kids if they will send nudes. Okay. This isn't just the 50-year-old man in the basement propositioning our kids. This is a culture that is happening right now. Next up, we've got the posse. The other known problem is sometimes your kids are going to be exposed to an international audience that have ideals that may not be shared by you. And that's a positive thing and it's a negative thing. So you have to watch for that, right? And then the last thing that's a known problem is I think everybody's aware you can get addicted, and your kids can get addicted to online gaming or to social media because of escapism and finding a place of significance for our kids, right? Whenever they're kids and teenagers, it is the time the most where they are looking to find and answer the question, who am I? Where do I belong? How am I significant? Right now, there's some unknown problems, and I believe that we have a boredom famine going on right now. Okay, guys, I have a boredom famine that I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to tell you a quick story that goes along with this. Okay, so meet the city of Jamja. I'm going to rush through this just a little bit. This one right here that I'm pointing at right now, Josiah, he's 21 years old now. This is Jude. He's now almost 18. So this is a long time ago. But essentially what had happened was I was homeschooling, and I was like, you know what? It's Saturday. There are going to be no DSs. They're going to ask me over and over and over, can we get on the DS? Can we watch TV? Can we da-da-da? And I was like, I'm just going to say no. So they started asking. And I was like, hey guys, no, we're not going to be doing that today. No, we're not going to be doing that today. Over and over and over again. And finally they stopped coming and they got really quiet. And how many of you know when things get quiet, you got to go check on your kids? So I went to go check on my kids. I found them outside, and it didn't quite look like this yet. They were just outside playing around with some things, riding their bike. And then I was like, cool. And I brought them water because it's Texas summer. It's hot. And so brought them water, and they stay outside. They're playing some more. And then all of a sudden some neighborhood kids joined. And then an hour later I went out, and next day they have all these toys out. And the next thing out, I'm like, what in the world are y'all doing? They had created an entire city, and they called it Jamja. Jamja stands for each first initial of every one of their names put together in a city name. And they had created currency out of leaves. There was a bike washing station, all of these cool things. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the good stuff. Like, I used to do those kind of things when I was a kid. Oh, it's amazing. And so what happened was at dinner, my kids were lit up. They were so excited. They'd had the best day of their life. And they were talking about the city of Jamja and how this happened. And so did this. And then Alex did that and blah, blah, blah. And just talking about it nonstop. And I paused them for a second. And I said, hey guys, can I just ask you a quick question? And I said, do you think the city of Jamja would ever have existed if mom had said yes to the DSs this morning? And it was like I saw light bulbs going off in their brains, like, oh my gosh, like this whole experience, this whole thing wouldn't have happened if I just gotten the DS. I wouldn't have gone outside. Right. And honestly, we're often so concerned about what is happening on the devices or when our kids are on games. But I am oftentimes more concerned with what is not happening because they're on the games, right? A lot of times we don't have the fighting so that there can be resolution and life lessons can be learned, right? Sometimes we're missing out on sharing of the heart and mind within our family or teamwork or just group boredom that results in like some crazy stuff happening and maybe even adventures, right? Which also means that there can also be a decrease in deep, meaningful connection through ordinary and extraordinary, ordinary and the extraordinary in our homes, right? So we're all very, very aware of these battlefronts, guys. Academic development, physical health, social development, mental health, identity development, financial literacy, right? But there is a new parental battlefront, all right? Tech screen health. This has the capacity to literally affect all of the other battlefronts. If this is not taken care of, they could potentially suffer academically. Physical health can go downhill. Social development can go downhill. Mental and identity development can be hit dramatically, which ultimately could affect their financial literacy, right? So I believe there's this new battlefront that we have to fight. And many parents aren't actually considering it being a new battlefront that's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So what is the answer to the battle that we're facing? Surprise. It's you. It's always been you. You are the parent. You are the parent for the job. You have your children because you are supposed to have your children. You are the answer to this battle that we're facing. You might say to me, but Stephanie, I'm already exhausted and it's like a full-time job to monitor screens with my children. And I want you to know that I hear you. I have lived that and I feel every bit of what that girl is hanging on to that ride. You might say, Stephanie, but it's hopeless. I worry that I'm too late. I've already, let go of the reins too much. My kids are just on devices, or I don't know enough, right? Or you might say, Stephanie, if I'm being honest, my child is already addicted and I don't feel prepared to deal with the conflict. I'm not up for the battle. I want to say, I hear you. I've been there. But you also might say, but Stephanie, if I'm being really honest, I'm kind of addicted myself. I've been there. I've definitely been there. But the truth of it is that you do have enough time to pay attention to this. You can have enough energy. It is not hopeless. And your child wants this as well because you are a powerful parent. You're the parent for the job. So how are we going to do this? What can we do? So I'm going to run through these pretty darn quickly. I might skip a couple. But there's this, how many of you know mindset is super important in your journey as an entrepreneur? Put a 1 in the chat for me, please. Mindset. How important is mindset, right? Super duper, super duper important. So we can also say if something is super important in business, most likely it's applicable to the rest of our lives. So is mindset important in our parenting? Abso-freaking-lutely. So some of you might be coming in, your mindset's kind of in the crapper. Maybe you're like, I don't know what to do with these kids. I don't know what's going on. I'm exacerbated. I'm tired. I don't even know what to do about screens, right? So I wanted to talk to you about the 3 keys to win this battle. And the first one, well, hold on. The answer, what I want you to know is can never be screen monitoring alone. And so the first one that we're going to talk about is championship, right? The importance of mindset. It affects how you view the world, how you perceive others, how you see your role in the world and in your home. It influences your choices, your habits, and it impacts the results that you can get and your happiness and your fulfillment, right? So what is the mindset I want you to take on is a mindset of championship. So it's a weird way to use this word because you know this word, but it's really truly like the second definition of what championship means, which means the vigorous support or defense of someone or something. So vigorous, it means strong, healthy, and full of energy. So the strong, healthy, and full of energy support or defense of someone or something. So what I want to talk to you about is I know you're already your child's biggest fan and champion in all the other areas of life, but today I want you to put on the identity and the mindset of one who champions your child's screen health. Okay. And I actually, one of the things that I would love for you to do is I have these two incredible friends in my life. I don't even know what in the world I could have ever have done to have gotten these beautiful women in my life, but they show up for me in my life. They root for me. They're super loyal. They always have my back. We do things together. They support me. My fight is their fight. When I think of the word championship and someone championing me, I think of these two women and my husband. Who do you think of? Like, I would love for you to just have a mental picture of someone who champions you. And I hope to God you're blessed enough to have someone championing you in your life. But those people are just absolutely incredible. And I want you to think about that person who champions you and think about doing that in the area and the vein of screen health in your child's life. The next one I want to talk about, once we put that mindset on, we want to talk about connection. Intentionally working to maintain a deep, meaningful connection with your children is absolutely imperative. In business, we spend so much time understanding our avatar so that we can get massive wins and make an impact, right? Well, it's the same in our homes. We must study and know our children to the best of our ability so that we can serve them, know them, and love them well. So what I want to encourage you to do, not right now, but I want to encourage you to take this idea and I want you to do this. I want you to think about each one of your children. Excuse me. I want you to think about each one of your children. I want you to create your very own child avatar. People have literally laughed in my face when I told them about this, but years ago, this son right here, Josiah, he's now 21. But over the years, I've made like little child avatars of each one of my kids just so that I can finitely look at who are they? How do I love them well? So Josiah, his favorite food is sushi. His love language is quality time and food. Let me tell you what, you feed this boy food, his heart just goes, whew. His interests are stories, music, creation. His aspirations, he wants to make a difference in the world. He wants to live a life of adventure. His values are connection, God, justice, integrity. His challenges are insecurity in group settings. His talents are he's tech wise, kind, charismatic. He's a thinker. And then what are the keys? How do I unlock his heart? Well, food does that, listening to music with him or watching a movie with him. He just opens up and I get to hear his heart and he feels connected to me whenever we do these things together. Notice I'm not doing things with him that I like to do. Otherwise we would be creating something together. I'm finding and looking for how does he feel connected to me? Where do we come together? And so whenever we understand our child, our communication and strategy will be exponentially more powerful. Knowing your child is an ongoing commitment. They are ever changing. And so it's your job to keep up the best you can, right? And to the point I was mentioning just a second ago, it's not about how you feel you should be most connected to your child, right? Because you might think it looks like long hours talking about their emotions, which that was me for a season of my life. I was like, oh yeah, me and my kids, we are so connected whenever we talk long hours about how they're feeling. When in reality, that's how I felt connected to them, not how they felt connected to me. And also too, it's not about what you love to do with your child to feel connected. Like you might love reading stories with your children at night, or you might love watching a movie with your tween. But maybe they don't necessarily reciprocate. That's just kind of something they just do with you, right? So find out how do they feel most connected to you? So I want you to take a screenshot of this for later. Go ahead and grab it. These are some things you can ask your child that will help you understand moments when they felt most connected to you. And let me just tell you, if you don't ask your kids questions, you're missing out on some fun. And I'm talking anywhere from, 3-year-olds to, 21-year-olds. It's amazing. So screenshot these. There's some awesome questions you can ask your child to uncover this. And then things to ask yourself. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this too. When was my child lit up after an interaction with me? When did my child not want to stop doing whatever it was that you were doing with them, right? Because once you have your child avatar lined up, it's going to give you messaging alignment to your child, which is going to equate to a powerful connection. And I believe amongst all the screens and everything that's going on, that is the most important thing that you have to have in place, because whenever screens are happening, yes, we can set up monitoring software. I have a list of all that stuff that I teach around, what can you set up? What do you need to be aware of? What apps do you need to watch for? How do you do it with this device? What about that device? We have all that stuff. But here's the thing. Rules without relationship will equal rebellion. And that goes for screens all the more, you guys. So whenever I'm talking to you about this stuff, it might seem a little fluffy, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do as a parent to maintain your connection with your kids through all of the craziness that is going to come at them via screens, online gaming, whatever it is that's going on. It's that connection. So I'm encouraging you in that. And also too, I want to just encourage you because we're entrepreneurs. We are busy. And let me tell you what, I have been so busy. I'm an Enneagram 3, you guys. I have never not been busy in my entire life, I think. At one point, whenever my kids were younger, I had started a business called Homegrown Pocket Beagles. I was breeding my dogs, which is just crazy. Don't judge me. And then I was taking 21 college hours online while homeschooling my kids, while also working for my father-in-law, helping him start an online Bible school. And I was also running the house, doing the laundry, making the meals, doing all the things. Like, I did not have quantity of time to give to my children. But what I want you to understand is that it's not quantity, it is quality. Quality is deep, meaningful connection moments versus tons of passive moments, right? Which would you rather have? You with them, which would your child rather have? Sorry. You with them all day, but you're on your phone or watching TV, or 1 hour of intentional, uninterrupted time doing what they love to do together. Which one would you rather have? Right. So those moments, I'm telling you, are so much poignant in your relationship than just quantity. So I want you guys to be encouraged and focus on, how do I find quality time with my kids if I don't have quantity to give? All right, last point, communication. I want to encourage you guys to set up a rhythm of cadence, or a cadence for communication with your child, kind of like you do in business. Just like you would set a meeting for your business, I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to do it in your home for your children. A majority of passive parenting comes from overwhelm, which oftentimes comes from a lack of planning. So setting a communication cadence for yourself is a total game changer. I also just want to encourage you to steal time. I love potato parenting. And what is that? Well, it's when you go plop down on their bed while they're in their room. When it's bedtime, don't rush out. Like if you're doing hugs and kisses or anything like that, when it's bedtime, don't rush out. Just lay in the bed next to them and see what comes up. Stay curious, because I'm telling you, it's weird. You go and you sit in their room and you just plop down on their bed and you just sit there with them. They're going to be like, what is going on? Why is mom sitting in my bed? Unless that's something you do normally. And then another ninja trick is when it's time for bed, let them come and hang out in your bedroom with you for an extra bit of stay up time. Or we used to do pajama runs, guys, where we would put the kids to bed and then we would wake them back up about 10 or 15 minutes later. And in their pajamas, we would take them to go get ice cream. Right. So be creative, stay out of the box. And those little moments, while they may not be every single week, they can be so powerful for your connection, because kids get those, the anchors, they make a huge difference. So at a minimum, I would recommend the following: a weekly screen check, just you checking on devices, looking at things, and then a monthly check-in with your child. So a monthly check-in with your child, it could be 15 minutes to 1 hour, and this is per child. So you could look at their screen, you can talk to them, their screens that they're on, their gaming, whatever. You get into their world and say, hey, what's your favorite thing about this? Why do you love it? You could say, what is this game like? Can I play this game with you? Or what's the newest trend on TikTok? Like whatever it is, where you're actually checking in with them, you take them out and do something fun with them and just spend that intentional time with them. Now, last thing I want to leave you with is anchors. Okay. Whether you know this or not, you had anchors in your life, whether they were intentionally created or they weren't, right? So anchors are recurring events in a child's life that anchor their remembrance and connection to their family. So you can standardize some life routine events, such as, every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday, and making it different from other nights, right? So you actually make it different. And then maybe it's every night you read together, or you read a novel together as a family on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, so you can go on an adventure together. Or maybe it's hugs and kisses every night. That's what we do. It's sometimes exhausting, but I love it. Or maybe you have a family movie night on Fridays, family walks after dinner, ice cream on Fridays after school, or something like that. Or you can also add in monthly events, like maybe there's date nights with your kids one time a month, one kid per date night. Maybe it's hiking or camping, board game night, service day, community outreach, or a binge night where everybody just binges a TV show or whatever. But what's important is that it's a break from the ordinary, where you have opportunities to create those event horizons in your children's memories, right? Or you could have yearly events that set up as anchors, such as family vacations, special events on B-days. For us, we eat ice cream for breakfast on birthdays, right? Little weird thing our family does. Holiday celebrations that are unique to your family that you can bring up. So I know we've covered a lot here and we're about at time, but I would just want to encourage you guys, lean in with me, because the reality is you are the parent for the job. And we are in unprecedented times. And it's a little crazy. It's a little overwhelming, but I want to encourage you to lean in with me, find your inner Wonder Woman, your inner Thor, and fight for your children in this arena, and sit up and pay attention and create those quality moments. So no matter where you are in the journey, I want to remind you, there's this quote. I can't remember who it was by at this very moment, but not by me, but it's so good. And I just love it. It's become an anthem in our life and in our home, which is, you never lose, you only win or learn something. So I hope today that in this presentation, you have learned something and that you're walking away with some tools that you can use. But most of all, keep the main thing the main thing. Yes, children are resilient. You can miss a birthday and you can come out clean on the other end. But usually the only reason why that's possible is because there's relationship. And I believe I asked Les Brown a question earlier today. Thanks, Eric, so much for that opportunity. I asked him, how do you build a kingdom online without losing the kingdom at home? And he basically said, hey, I made sacrifices. I actually wasn't at their events, right? But they came around and they have relationship with him. And they're saying, yeah, we were really mad at you for missing those things, but we understand it now because we see these things. But I guarantee you, if I was able to interview Les Brown and dig in with him some more, we would find there were things that he did to build relationship. And if that relationship is steady, it can cover a multitude of sins, right? I'm using, the quote of sins of like whatever happens in our life, right? If you have that connection, you have that relationship, and you're being intentional, it helps so much. Helps so much. So thank you guys so much for listening. You're here on this awesome, incredible business event, and you guys are going to get so much gold. And I just wanted to bring you something from my heart to your heart, my agency owner, entrepreneurial heart to another entrepreneurial heart, that you've got this. Like, you can. I believe I'm walking it. I'm living it out. Sometimes, most of the time, imperfectly. But it's not about being a perfect parent. It's about being powerful. Right? It's about being a powerful parent. How can we show up powerfully in our children's lives? So my name is Stephanie Dove Blake. Let's connect on Facebook or Instagram. I am so very blessed to be here with you guys. And I will try to figure out how to stop sharing my screen without leaving the studio.
Stephanie, that was absolutely amazing. Let's show Stephanie some love in the chat, please. Wow. Like, it's funny because I hear the quote all the time that no success can compensate for failure in the home.
Yes.
And I love that. And I think that's absolutely right, because when it comes to priorities, it's easy to put the business in front of the family, but the two can live together. And I want to share something with you, Stephanie. Last week, I had Dr. John Deloney speak at my event in Nashville. And I don't know if you know who he is. He's with the Dave Ramsey Network. He has the John Deloney Show, which is now, I think, the second largest radio program in the country. And we did a Q&A at the end, and a question was asked about screens. And he said the following, and this has really stuck with me. And so I wanted to share it with you before you leave.
Yeah.
You got to go here soon. And this audience. And he said, when kids when like 100 years ago, when cigarettes came out, parents were encouraged to give their children cigarettes to calm them down if they were hyper, right? That was the thing. Like, and then the science came out and they realized they're ruining and destroying these kids. And he said, I'm convinced that 50 years from now, the generations of 50 years in the past will be like the same thing. You gave your kids phones?
Yes.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, he compared that to giving them a cigarette. Now, I'm not saying you're a terrible person if you're giving your kids phones, because I did the same thing. But the more I have teenagers and now moving past the teenage years, and I see what's happening with that, it is amazing. And I think John's probably right. That when the science comes out about this and it's starting to come out, we will realize how actually destructive it can be when not used in moderation, obviously.
100%. Yeah. And we definitely have a scale that has gone whoop right now. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that so many people just don't quite know what they don't know, and they don't realize what's happening. And we'll wake up and we'll be like, hold the phone. This is not what it was supposed to be. Right.
Or toss the phone. Yeah. I mean, It's amazing, because when this came out, 2009, I think it was, when Steve Jobs announced the first iPhone, who would have thought? Like, who would have thought that it could become what it did become? And don't get me wrong, it is a beautiful thing to have a phone, and it's a beautiful gift and a huge blessing. But I believe that there's opposition in all things. Sometimes the greatest blessings in life, used in the wrong way, can be some of the biggest curses in life.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
So I just want to know, like, what your opinion is on, like, the term balance, which I'll let you talk. I hate the word balance, to be honest with you, but we
Yeah.
hear it all the time. I would love to get your thought on that.
Okay, so I love that you asked this question because I've started a podcast called the Powerful Parenting Journey podcast, and I've been getting to interview lots of entrepreneurs and talking to them about this exact thing, successful entrepreneurs. And so, like, what do you think about life work balance, right? And so far, almost every single one of them have kind of scoffed, like, there's no balance. There is no balance to be had. You're chasing an illusion, and anybody who says they have it, they don't actually have it for very long. Right? They obtained it for a moment and they think they figured it out and they're just trying to get back to it. And so that at first, kind of like makes my heart go, oh God, because I'm not here to be out of balance. But the reality is that our shift, it's our focus shift, right? And so Russell Brunson said something really great on whenever I interviewed him for the podcast. He said that he has, he's very intentional. It's a lot of like the quality of time versus the quantity of time with his family and his kids. And when he is at ClickFunnels, he is at ClickFunnels. He is not texting. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. He's with Colette and his kids. He is at ClickFunnels. And whenever he is at home, he is at home. And sometimes the family will know, okay, I'm going into a busy season. I've got this event. This is going to happen. And they are going into it together. But as he's sacrificing, there's relationship there, there's communication there. And then, does it balance out? No, but it might swing back over. And then the focus is less on being at ClickFunnels and doing these events and doing these things. And this is a season where I'm all in with my family. We just went on 3 vacations in the past 2 months, right? Like craziness. And so I for myself, I don't know that there is a balance. I feel like I try very hard for myself to find what I call my own balance. And I think that's the most important thing, is that there's no true playbook on how to parent, right? There's a lot of wisdom and guidelines and stuff like that out there. But the reality is we're all so different. And for every one of us that is different, if we have 3 or 4 children, each one of them is so different. So how are you going to write a playbook for that? Right? You can't. You can pick up golden nuggets and wisdom, but what works for one family, like I know one family, they are type A, everything's on a schedule. It's rigid. It's, this is how it goes. I would literally shrivel up and die in that environment. Right? Like I can't do that. I am a creative ADHD entrepreneur and my kids are very similar. We're kind of all over the place. We're a little loud. We're a little messy. Right. And that's okay. That's what works for us. And we're figuring out in the framework of who we are and who we are as a family and what mission has been put in our heart and birthed in our heart. Right. And that's what each one of us have to be intentional about figuring out. And then what does that look like for our lives? How do we stay connected to each other and build these incredible dreams and visions and online businesses without losing what matters most? Why did we even get into it to start with? Right.
As a fellow Enneagram 3, you are speaking my language, girl. Amazing.
I'm going to have to look up my Enneagram again. I'm like, I want to be a 3.
You probably are.
Yeah, I don't know that you want that.
I'll look. You're definitely speaking to me right now and to the kind of entrepreneurs that we attract. Exactly what you said. They come in so that they can shift the legacy of their family, so they can create a better world, so that they can be there to pick up their kids and take vacations. And then they end up locked in rooms like mad scientists with food, under the door. So, or chasing that illusion. I love what you laid out as real tools and awarenesses of what's going on if we don't pay attention, because what I know about our audience is that they're the kind of people that once they know powerfully, there's a conviction there, that they find ways to take action on that. So you gave us great places to take action. I also know a very dark topic of child trafficking that's happening right now. And some of those places that you shared, like the Sonic Hedge cartoon thing, that's just, those are the same places that the predators are getting through. So this is important for so many reasons. Top of mind is the mind, and how will it be developed, and all of that. So thank you so much for giving, the message of grace, but also that there is a way to be wildly successful financially and in your business, and also be not perfect, but a present parent, making those event horizons. I was screenshotting and sending it to all the stepmom, the dad, the mom, and we're making new rules of limiters. So,
Love it.
and powerful events. Ice cream for breakfast. I love it. Thank you, Stephanie.
Pajama runs, amazing. So
Pajama
good.
runs, yes.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you for the opportunity. And I just appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. That was awesome. So everybody, again, show Stephanie love in the chat. And wow, that was amazing. A little bit unexpected. She told me what she was going to talk about, but I didn't realize how in depth that would be and how just amazing it, like just like you've practiced that 1,000 times or lived it 1,000 times. It's so, so good. Really excited. So, so amazing, so amazing. But we are not going to stop here, are we, Adora?
No.
I am so excited to announce our next speaker. And before I bring him on, I just want to tell you a little bit about who this guy is. His name is Danny, and he's from Canada, French Canadian. He speaks French and English as a second language, but he is one of the most passionate people I know. In fact, he is so easy to listen to because he just speaks with so much energy and so much passion. It's unreal. Now, let me tell you what his superpowers are and tell me if this will help you. First off, he spent a lot of time the last few years being what we call in our world, not but the webinar whisperer. Now, what do I mean by that? He built an insanely cool business and has helped dozens, if not hundreds of entrepreneurs build perfect webinars that convert, which is huge because it's not just about the webinar or the format. It's the content inside of the format that truly matters, whether it be a challenge or a webinar or a live event like this or whatever it might be. He is a master at crafting that messaging and the format to convert people to your programs at a very, very high rate. Now he's doing something that is like unbelievably cool. And I've been working with his team for the last few weeks in helping like bringing this onto my organization. And that's a business called ClickMind. Check it out, clickmind.ai, I think it is. And what they do is they actually will take you as the entrepreneur, you send them a few videos or you speak to them for 5 or 10 minutes, and the AI will take, and it won't just clone your voice. It won't just clone your face. It'll actually clone your mind. So it gets to know you and start speaking as if it was you. I mean, it can do things like read the Audible version of your book in your voice without you actually reading it. Any of you ever been in a studio and done Audible? Oh my gosh, it is challenging. It will actually, they're to the point where they're getting it really dialed in and cloning in their face as well. And it's just amazing what it's doing. And it's going to change. AI is changing the world. But imagine not having to input like you have to at ChatGPT and ask it a bunch of questions and try to get the right answers and doing that over and over again. It just takes your mind, clones it, and then outputs whatever you want out of it in your voice, in your own thinking. It's like the most insane thing ever. So
I was writing down clickmind.ai, clickmind.ai. Got it. Wow.
Did you just change your name to the Webinar Whisperer, or was it like that before?
It was like that before. They asked me
I didn't even know that.
That's awesome. Guys, I'm so happy, so excited to be here. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
We're going to have so much fun.
I know these guys. I have like propped you up to so many people. So I'm going to let you roll right into it. Guys, welcome to the stage, the great Webinar Whisperer.
All right, everybody. That's awesome. I'm so excited, so happy to be here with you guys. We're in for a treat today. It's going to be so fun. We're going to learn how to launch your first or next profitable webinar in just less than 9 days, right? Does it sound crazy? Yes, it is. But you will see by the end of this presentation how easy it can be for you. Even if you have no skills, even if you've never done one, even if you're not marketer, copywriter, guru, or whatever, this is for everybody. So guys, allow me to share my screen. It's gonna be so cool. Don't share tip again. Share screens. Perfect. Boom. There we go. So guys, I'm just gonna put this there in order to make sure that you that I see you well. You guys can see this? All good? All right. So today, guys, we're going to see the So Simple It Hurts coach's way to launch your profitable AI-driven webinar in the next 9 days. And that I already said it, but Truly, and I mean it, guys. Stay with me. You will see how easy it is, even if you're a very bad marketer. And I truly mean it because when I did my first webinar, I knew zero marketing at all, or almost, right? So the goal of this training is what? Is to, with the 45 minutes we have today, my goal is to impact you in major ways, mainly two major ways. First of all, by transforming complexity into simplicity, right? A lot of the teaching we receive in the webinar world is complex, is overwhelming. Do this, that. The 2052 steps to create your perfect webinar, right? It's long, it's complicated, and we're like, but I don't know what to put there. I don't know what to do there. I don't know what to say there, right? Has it ever happened to you? You want to do something, you're like, no, too hard, right? And I will also, by transforming complexity into simplicity, we will also together transform procrastination into action. It's going to be freaking amazing, guys. But today, first, before we get in, I want you to understand that this is not about the information, guys. And I tell it, no. It is not about the information. Information is the last thing I want to give you today, right? Today, I want you to understand that it's all about the transformation. What it's going to do for you. What it's going to do for your business. What would it do for your family, for your future, for your revenues, your profit, your income, your lifestyle? What would it do if you could create over the next 9 days a truly profitable webinar without having the skills required? Would it change something in your life, right? I hope it does. It's about the transformation, guys. But just before we get in, I have two disclaimers. First of all, is a medical disclaimer, because please make sure to have access to a doctor, because applying the hacks you're about to discover may or will probably leave you speechless. And I truly mean it. We take one of the most complicated subjects in the marketing world and we make it one of the most simple. It's life-changing. So make sure to call your doctor first. And second thing, guys, I'm a new father, right? This picture has been taken like almost 3 months ago now. She's not that little baby, but she's still at the age in which she cries. So you may hear some cries, but believe me, it's only her way to say, go, daddy, go. Because even if she's a phenom, at like 12 weeks, she still don't speak, right? We tried at least. But you may hear her cry, so just know that it's her way to encourage daddy, go, daddy, you're the best, right? So before we get started, I want to share a little bit about my story. And there's a part that I've never shared before. Even Stephanie, even Eric never heard that one, right? In 2016, I decided to launch my first company as a coach. I was a former car salesman, and here's the irony, right? I was super great at sales, and I wanted to teach sales. So I launched DT Formation, which equals to DT training in French. By the way, there's a lot of French you will see in this presentation today because I'm new in the American English market. All I did before, all the success I've had was in the French market, and I want to bring what I learned to the table. But in 2016, I was super confident, super happy. Let me go do a business. They say that in books, if you believe it, it will happen. And I truly believed I would. But then over the next 6 months, I did everything I thought was the right thing to do. I built a website. I got business cards, like those little old things, like they are most antiquities right now, the business cards. I built a website. Took me so long because I suck with technology, still to this day, by the way. Like it was hard, but I thought I would make it. But after 6 months, I realized I made zero sales. The irony is that I was good at sales, but did not know how to work online as a coach. And I put myself $20,000 into debt, right? So this is not cool. And at $20,000 into debt, when you're broke and all you can do is sell cars, that's a lot of that to have, right? So I decided to get out of this, go back to sell cars again. I was making pretty good money selling cars. And in 2017, you can see there, 7 September or September 7, 2017, I still wanted to do it. Like there was this voice inside my head that would be like, Danny, go again. Danny, you should do it. I would wake up in the morning and my voice would be, Danny, you should do it. Danny, you should try again. Danny, you should try again. And I would continue to read these books, and they were saying things like, defeat is only temporary if you don't abandon, right? And all those motivational stuff that sounds good, but when you're in it, right, it's not the same thing. So I decided to go all in again, right? And I asked, and Stephanie, you know him, I've asked Alex Schlinsky in 2017, I did a post in a group called ClickFunnels, and this guy answers me and he's like, I can help you. So instantly, I wanted to do it again, but this time with a coach, because if I want to be a coach, I'd rather have a coach, right? I better have a coach. So he helps me. He's amazing. And I decide to go all in again. I go to 3 banks, by the way. I had no money, okay? I was in debt selling cars. So first bank refused my loan to buy his program. Second bank refused my loan to buy his program. Third bank said yes. And this moment changed my life forever, guys. I have chills, by the way. I don't know if you can see them well. I have chills. This, like, I rarely share this, by the way. So anyway, so then I got started with Alex. I'm a fast learner. You can see here. Look at the first line on the right. I learn fast and I love to implement, right? This is what you want to remember. By the way, if you have anything that you have to remember from this, if you don't even do a webinar, is learn fast and implement faster. So a little bit about me. I start like working as an agency. I find my customer. Things are doing good. With Alex coaching, I find my first customer in an hour from having a business. And then the funny part, my customer is like, hey, what's the name of your business? And I had no name. I haven't thought about that. All I wanted was to close a deal. So I'm like 91 marketing. It was my year of birth plus marketing, right? And they say like, hey, can you send me an invoice? And like, I don't even know how to send an invoice. So I go on PayPal, I find this, and they ask for a logo. So I go online, I pay $5 for a logo. Anyway, so that was like my beginning, right? And it got tired because I was such a good salesman that I would close like almost everybody I would talk to. And it got overwhelming because I was not good at hiring, delegating, managing, organizing, management, planning, like all those stuff, right? So I decide I will always grow. I go to 10X GrowthCon, and that was so cool, okay? It was my first event ever, first time going out of Canada ever, and I arrived there, like, you can see the happiness in my face, right? And then I see the master at work himself. This changed everything, guys. I'm there. You can see this is my POV, right? And I'm there, and I take a picture of Russell. And anyway, I just wanted to remember that moment. It was so good. And at this time, he sold for 3 million in 90 minutes. And just to put you in context, guys, okay, we are at MGM Grand in Vegas. Even if you don't know MGM, you know that if it's in Vegas, it's probably super big, right? So he closes he does his pitch, he closes his stack, and then you can see people are in the room like running. People want to fight to buy his stuff. And then when you go upstairs where there was the stands to buy, there would be like stand 1, and they would make, like, people will make the line up to stand 2, and from stand 2 to stand 3 there would be a line, from stand 3 to stand 4 a line, and for stand 4, from stand 4 to 1 there's a line 2. So basically, another way to frame it is that he closed the entire surface of MGM worth of buyers. Isn't that crazy, guys? Like, well, I was the kind of guy who was happy closing $1,000 a month deal, and this guy just closed like 3 million in 90 minutes. I don't know about like $1,000 versus 3 million or a month versus 90 minutes, but I'd rather have the second one, right? So I decide to go all in. I come back. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do webinars. Like, this is super cool. I'm gonna learn how to do webinars. So I start doing a webinars that I bought from Alex Schlinsky, right? And I just build it. And I want you to see, okay, again, I'm a bit shy of sharing this, but like, look at that. That's the truth, right? When you're at a certain, like, you don't start with all the confidence in the world. We will always fear everything, right? But just get to it. So you can see in the bottom of my screen that 18 March was the day I first started the webinar. And by 27th March, I finished my webinar. And then you can see that until December, I haven't touched it, right? So you can see that in 9 days, I've built the entire webinar. But look at the thing, okay? Look at that. This is when I launched. I made $800, yeah. But look at the dates. September 8th. Took me 9 days to build, but it took me 6 months to launch. Was I trusting myself? No, right? I was in fear. I was in fear, like, will I look on camera? How will I speak on camera? But who am I to coach those people? Who am I to give a webinar? Who am I to launch a course, a coaching program? Who am I? And then imposter syndrome kicked in like hard. Again, I have chills, guys. I don't know if you can see it well, right? So it starts like to become like it started to hurt my soul at this point. I'm like, I have all this stuff, I have all this knowledge, but I always kept it for myself because I was never quote unquote good enough. Again, guys, so much chill. I don't know if you can see my arms, it's like covers with chills. Anyway, so so it took me 9 days to build, which teach you I have no marketing skills, never done like I done an agency in my life. Like I would delegate the marketing part when I sold. So I had no marketing skills, but it took me only 9 days, right? And look at what happened from there, right? I'm still an agency guy. I'm not a webinar guy. I still have the imposter syndrome back then. So I decided, like, instead of like continuing on my great success of doing 27K in a day, which by the way, changed my life forever, right? I don't know about you, but like it was by far the first time I would make 27K. And just as a context, it was needed, or I would not be able to pay my car payments that was coming, to pay the apartment that was coming, or whatever. So it was like, it was tough, but it was needed. So again, now I make money. I'm like, my life has changed, and then I go back into my shell of imposter syndrome. So because I was already good at having an agency and sell or whatever, I say, okay, I'm gonna delegate like the imposter syndrome to other, and I'm gonna keep doing what I do, right? Which is an agency. So I started doing a lot of webinars, right? A lot of webinars. I would do like webinar in real estate, in bodybuilding, in weight loss, another one in real estate. And by the way, there's something I want to show you, okay? Is a bit of the results. And the only reason, guys, I share with you the results, I will share 2 results with you, is so you understand how sustainable it is once you do it, right? So from January 1st to February 28th, we had one weight loss webinar doing $517,000. Big numbers are still hard for me to say. I'm still learning English every day, guys. But you can see here that it's 500,000, okay, around 500,000. Another one that we had in weight loss webinar, right? Another one, the same audience doing the same stuff, did 535,000 from January 1st to February 28th, right? So it's almost like the same results. It's $500,000 in 2 months for both. Look at that, right? Then we did our first $1 million. We did our first Tacoma Club. And I want to share with you this because we started, like you can see on the right of the screen, that we did our first month in May 2020. And then we would have reached, if you look at the left, at January 31st, we would have reached $1 million, right? Which was super cool to me. It was a dream. And to be honest, guys, I never thought I would do it. I never thought I would achieve that. Like, I'm just the kind of guy who take actions anyway. I'm a courageous guy. I have more fear than almost everybody in the world because I almost lost at everything I've tried, right? But I just keep on doing, keep on putting the work, right? So I earned my Tacoma Club award with my partner and Mustafa, which is our super wonderful funnel builder. And then look at that, right? So I say, and this is French, so let me translate. Our first Tacoma Club took around 12 months. The second one will take 6. But I fooled myself. It took 7, but we made it, right? So you can see this is another $1 million webinar that we did in 7 months instead of a year, right? So you can see also that the one that we did the first million together took the same time to reach the second million than the first one to reach $1 million. So you can see, guys, how sustainable it is, right? You have the 535,000, 517,000. You have the first $1 million in 12 months. Then the second $1 million business took 7 months. But we did $960,000 in those same 6 months with 7 months with the other webinar. So anyway, the only reason I'm sharing this with you guys is to make you understand that it's about the skill set and it's sustainable. It is sustainable. If you develop a webinar, you'll keep on making money. It's that simple. And by the way, if you think this is hard, just wait. This is my hook. Like, I hook you. Wait, you will see. It's super easy, right? So, and then I started helping people with webinar, helped me become inner circle member of the June. I helped Sarah Petty, who was like a webinar doctor. She tried a webinar. She built it with Russell, and we increased almost triple our revenue. I've helped Hunter Thompson do 30K more than his previous best week. Then a couple months later, it's like he helped me make at least $500,000 more than I would have done on my own. I've helped another good friend of mine, Miranda, to go from a 3,600 to 31,000 webinar. So guys, like I just share you that to make you understand that it is possible and you can do it, okay? So who would like to know the only thing their webinar had in common that most people would never had? Like what did Sarah had, Hunter had, Miranda had, right? Who would like to know it? All right, cool. They were launched. They have launched a webinar. They had launched the only thing better than there's nothing worse than a perfect webinar who's not launched, right? And you have the perfect example. My webinar made me like almost 28K, but I delayed for 6 months because of fear, right? So it was done. It was not launched, right? So just before we speak about webinar hacking and how you can create simply and easy and fast your own webinar in as little as 9 days, it's very important for you to understand the 3 evolution of a successful webinar. All right? So first of all, you want to launch fast, right? That's the first step. You want to launch fast. Then you repair using feedbacks. By the way, this is always what I do. I write a webinar now in like 2-3 days, and I know it's full of mistakes, and I launch, and the market tells me my mistake. And then you scale. But people think it's like launch perfect and scale. It's a big mistake because too many people are obsessed with the launch, that make sure the launch is perfect. Make sure the launch is good. Make sure we give it everything. Take all the book to write the webinar. Take all the courses to write the webinar. But in reality, launch is only a beta test phase, right? It's only a testing phase. The market will tell you what they want to see, what they want to read, what they want to buy, where they dropped out, right? So the mindset is really about testing fast and then repairing what's wrong fast. I should have said faster, right? Repair what's wrong faster. The faster you can, as soon as you have feedbacks, then you repair. And so now that we're clear on the importance of launching fast, how about we get into the webinar hacking framework, right? So who would like to know my webinar hacking framework to use in order to launch your first or next profitable webinar in the next 9 days? And that, guys, I tell you again, even if you're bad at marketing, even if you're not a good copywriter, even if you never done one, even if you're you don't really know your framework yet, there's just this framework is so simple, it's going to bring zero excuse. It's going to make you zero excuse. And I dare you, by the way, this is a challenge that I dare to you. By the end of this training, I want you to try to find an excuse not to launch a webinar. It will be virtually impossible, guys, I'm telling you. So let's get into it. First of all, the first step of the webinar hacking framework is webinar hacking. Webinar hacking framework? Webinar hacking? Yeah, it is, right? You will see what it is. Then you hack your offer, right? And lastly, you hack the copy. So look at that, right? So let's start with webinar hacking. A quote that I love from Tony Robbins, that I love a lot, in fact, that I live my life upon, is that if you want to be successful, you just have to find somebody who achieve great results that you want to achieve and then model what they do in order to have the same result, right? And that's a great quote. If you think about almost everybody who's good at something, he just modeled who were successful up to the point where the only time you can't model someone more successful than you is when you're the best in the world. The second best has someone to model, and he should, right? You should always find your model. You have great model here. Stephanie, Les Brown, Eric, you have Adora, you have all those beautiful, wonderful people to model in this conference. And I dare you to find one and follow his footsteps if you want to achieve the same results, right? So here I am with POD Hall of Famer shirt. By the way, it's Alex Stinsky shirt again. It's for those who reach 6 figures, and I don't know how many times it was, long time ago, right? So I've asked him, I'm like, bro, can I use your webinar? And he's like, I'm like, no, can I use your webinar? And he's like, yeah, you have it in the course training. And I'm like, I already have a webinar, because I was willing to buy his webinar because I did not know I had it in the course. So it's like, yeah, you have it in the webinar, in the course. So I'm like, cool. And I go download his webinar and look at that, okay? I just keep the exact same container, but I put different content. So Alex teaches how to become a lead generation Hall of Famer. By the way, I don't know if this is still what he teaches. It was back then, okay? So just want to make that clear. He's like, your step-by-step guide to become a lead gen Hall of Famer. And I'm like, how to sell on LinkedIn and build your brand in 90 days, right? Because this is what I've done to this point. I've used LinkedIn. So I would keep, I suck at design, guys. I suck at PowerPoint. And not only do I suck, I completely hate doing PowerPoints and design, right? It's like the worst thing to me. You ask me like, hey, do you want to jump off a cliff and fight 10 guys in the drop, or you want to draw a stick figure? I choose the cliff, right? It's just like what I really, really do hate doing that. So I figured out, let me just do the same thing that he did, right? So his first slide is that. So I do that. Then his second slide is my goal. And so my second slide was the goal of this webinar, right? I translate because it's French. Then he has 4 reasons to stay until the end. Guess what? I had 4. That's right. Like I went all in. 4. I don't know how to structure a webinar, or I didn't know how to structure a webinar back then. So I figured out if I bought his stuff from his webinar, it was a good webinar. So I just kept the same container, the same structure, the same orders of slides, and I changed the content. Right? It's like how to avoid the freelancer trap. And I'm like, how to win a lot of productivity hours per week and stop cold calling. He's like, and the 4th one is a gift. So my 4th one is a gift, right? And he gives a direct mail script, and I give 3 best objections to 3 best answers to close on a price objection, right? So again, the content is absolutely different. Content is not the same at all. We don't speak about the same thing. So is it copy? Is it copying, Danny? Like, no, it's modeling. I keep the same container. I put different content in it, right? So it's not his webinar. It's mine now. So like I told you, I finally launched and I arrived at like 27 to almost 28K, right? So it took me 6 months, by the way. So another reminder to never let fear stop you, guys. I know you have fear. By the way, I'm fearful like crazy nowadays because I'm going all in into the English market. I left everything I've built behind, the things that has brought me 5 million in sales over the last couple of years. I'll leave it behind and I go all in into English. Is that fearful? I just have a new baby upstairs. I have a wife that will be stay-at-home mom that I need to make live. We're doing the move from Canada to America, and I just drop everything I have to go all in. I'm fearful like crazy. I have the worst sleep of my life right now. But you know what? I do it anyway. I do it anyway. Because there's one thing I promised. Again, guys, chills. There's one thing I promised myself, guys. I will never break. No matter what life throws at me, I'll keep fighting to death. Like nothing will ever stop me. I might have fear. I might have my knee shaking. I might not sleep at night. I might not even be able to see or talk to my friends because all I can think about is work or what I do or the challenge I face. But I do it anyway, right? In the presence of fear, and it's called courage. And this is a characteristic you want to develop. That was a quick reminder. Then I did the same. I kept the exact same container and I changed the content. This one was for real estate with a guy called Jacques Dion. He did 158K in 90 minutes. And then I became cocky, right? I became, I got this. Now we're making money with webinars. So I changed the colors. Kept the exact same structure, but changed the colors, right? He did 100K first month. And by the way, you see some, I have the stripe. It's because I was paying on percentage. So I would get the money and then pay them their commission. Those were paid on contracts. So it's their money and I don't have their stripes, right? This one, another one in real estate, we did 118K in like 3 presentations. Then this one, by the way, we're almost at 3 million now with this one. It's an old slide, but it's a weight loss webinar. And look at that. Still, I just changed the colors. This one, I removed the line. Like I became too confident, right? So this one, again, same structure, same content, just changing the words. Another one, and by the way, when I bought Alex's program, I did not realize I already had this into CCX program. So, it was a $7 program that you can buy online from Russell. So I did another one for a comptable. What is this word? Accountant, for an accountant in English. Look at how the same it is. Right? The logo doesn't even look good. It's like a small logo to the left. I don't want to do design. This is not what matters to people, right? So, guys, is this helpful, by the way? Right? So you find a model that has success with his webinar. It can be me, it can be Russell, it can be Stephanie, it can be Marley Jack. Like a lot of people have great converting webinar in the industry. Like they have, right? You can buy one from Russell for like $7 if my memory is good. And Russell is pretty damn good at webinar, right? So you know you have a great structure. So guys, let me know, is this helpful up to now? Right? You find a model, you keep the same exact container, same exact structure, and then you modify the content in order to make it yours. All right. So I'm glad it helps. That's super, super cool. So maybe some of you say, Danny, that sounds super cool. That sounds amazing. And I can't do that. I'm brilliant enough to just change content for mine, but I just don't know exactly what to sell, right? Is there somebody in the room who's like, I can do that, but I still don't have a clear offer? Is there somebody in the room? I want to know, right? So like maybe you don't have an offer yet and you're like, sounds like, but let me tell you, I've got you guys. So the offer hacking process, right? How will you use AI in order to create a more than perfect offer in 5 minutes or less, right? So first step, you will find an offer that you already love. So I went online, I looked at a weight loss webinar. By the way, most of the money I made was in weight loss in my webinars. So I found a weight loss webinar and I told him an offer that I love, right? And then the offer was a 12-week core program to lose weight for women, a 7-day sleep better program, mind, body, and soul video series, a super family program, 30 minutes phone call to get the customer to buy now. And I'm like, I target the same customer. You can also switch some bonus to cover some needs you think aren't well covered for 40 to 50 years old women, right? So it's like, hey, here's a program. I'm like, sounds okay, right? That's not like the most incredible offer ever. So it's like a 12-week personalized weight loss, a 21-day stress reduction challenge, a 7-day LT meal plan, 30-day at home, right? 60-day satisfaction. And for those who act now, a 30 minutes one-on-one coaching call. I don't end there, guys. I want my offer to be great, not good. I want it to be world-class, not okay, right? So then I'm like, can you make it even better? Let's 10x the perceived value. And by the way, I don't want to take one-on-one time with customer, right? And it's like, okay, sure, I can help you 10x the perceived value. So a 12-week program, a 30-day stress reduction and self-care, 21 nutrition and mindset reboot, 30-day at-home workout program, a library of fundamental wellness resource, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and 3-month access to a private online community for support and accountability. So I'm like, that's getting better, right? So now can you help me? Because if I sell it that way, it won't sell at all. So I'm like, now create a sexy name for each part of the offer, right? And then it's like, sure, I can create some catchy names. So the Slim and Strong, the ultimate 12-week weight loss program, the Zen and Thrive, a 30-day stress reduction and self-care challenge, the Mind and Body Reboot, a 21-day nutrition and mindset transformation, the Fit and Fabulous, a 30-day at-home workout program, the Wellness Oasis, access to a library of fundamental wellness resource, and the Empowered Woman community. So I'm like, now that's good. So now add some words like igniter, accelerator, system, protocol, program, etc. And now the final offer, and it took me like 5 minutes to do, is like the Slim and Strong Igniter, the ultimate 12 weeks weight loss system, the Zen and Thrive Accelerator, a 30-day stress reduction and self-care protocol, the Mind and Body Reboot System, a 21-day nutrition mindset transformation, the Fit and Fabulous Protocol, a 30-day at-home workout system, a Wellness Oasis program, access to a library of fundamental wellness resource, and the Empowered Woman Accelerator. So I went from I have absolutely don't know what to sell to I just have a freaking great offer, right? That gives the weight loss, the bonus, so it takes care of the weight, the stress, the self-care, the nutrition, the mindset, the workouts, the on-demand library, plus a community, the accountability, the support. So it's a freaking complete offer, right? With sexy names that will be easy to sell, right? Took me freaking 5 minutes, guys. It's ChatGPT. For those who don't know, it's super, super simple. Like you can do that in like 5 to 10 minutes. So now, guys, stay with me. You have a model. You're like, okay, this is the model. I just follow slide by slide and I keep the exact same structure, but I change for my content. Now you have the offer that you sell at the end, right? So all you need then, because you know what the slides structure are, you don't have to think about the webinar at all. You just change content for yours, then, and you have the end, all you need to do is fill in the blank, right? So let's see from now on how to do the copy hacking, because this will be the last part. This will be the most important part, because this is what usually people gets blocked at, right? Some people know what they will sell. They can find the model of webinar to hack, but they don't know what to put in, right? Is there some people here feeling like, sounds good, I can have an offer, I can find a model, but what will I write in those like 200 slides? I don't know. right? I'm not good at this. But guys, let me tell you, I've got you, right? This is exactly why we're doing this presentation. So the third step is the copy hacking. And there's three main things you want to hack, right? And by the way, guys, be resourceful. Like, I won't teach you how to hack every single slides. I want you to understand the principle. If you have any questions, you use AI in order to help you fill the blank in your webinar, right? Any single questions. So the three main things you want to hack are the secrets, the stories, and the sales arguments, right? So let's say, okay, a webinar takes 3 secrets. I want to follow Russell's way, but I don't have my own secrets. What should I do? Then there's no problems at all, guys. So look at that. I go again on ChatGPT, my good friend, buddy, me and chat, right? So I'm like, let's use the perfect webinar script from Russell Brunson, and I need you to help me find the big domino and the 3 secrets. My main skill is helping women over 40 lose their weight for good by balancing their hormonal system. So secret number 1 needs to be about the vehicles to success, which relates to the hormones. Secret number 2 need to be about energy and motivation. And secret number 3, I want it to be about time, right? So now you have a bit of idea about what you want to say. This is what I had at this time. So it's like, okay, cool. I got you, man. Like I told you, we're buddy. I've got his back. He's got mine. So secret number 1, the hormonal hack. Unlock the secrets to effortless weight loss, even if you've tried everything else. Secret number 2, the energy secret. Unleash your inner powerhouse and crush your weight loss goals without burning out. And third secret, the time-saving solution. Fit into your skinny jeans without sacrificing your busy schedule or favorite food. Isn't that crazy, guys? In like less than 30 seconds, I went from I don't have a script for my webinar to now I know my 3 secrets. Isn't that cool, guys? Like, I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys see the power this has and how it can change your business. I really do hope you guys click with what I'm saying, because a great high-converting webinar is your tickets to $1 million on the freeway, like highway, like super simple, super easy, right? So now you have your 3 secrets, but you're like, Russell's are like everybody told me that the webinar is about the stories and everything, and I'm a kind of new coach. I don't have stories, or my stories are kind of boring. I don't know exactly what to tell. I just live my life in my office, and like all those excuses that we used to have before AI, right? So now what I would do is I would first of all understand it's okay to don't have story. It's okay to start somewhere. It's okay to don't have the stories caliber of the guy that has been in the game forever, right? Royce Gracie will have crazy better stories than I do. Les Brown have crazy better stories than I do. It doesn't prevent me from doing it, right? It doesn't prevent me from having success. So if you don't have stories, and by the way, I've had a webinar agency called the Webinar Guys. The thing I got the best at was literally figuring out analogies, because my customer had no stories to prove what I want to break the belief I want to break, right? They just were like, I have nothing that relates to that. And most of the people, I started them from scratch. So they had no stories. So the way I found to overcome that, and oftentimes I have more success with analogies than with stories, is with analogies, right? It's the new coach's stories. So let's say that I want to teach women that dieting is not the way to lose weight, that as long as she diets, her weight will come back, it's going to get worse, or metabolism would get slower. I'm like, what's the best story to help me break a woman's belief that dieting isn't going to help her lose the weight for good? And that also illustrates that as long as she doesn't correct her hormonal system, nothing's going to work. Then he gave me like a great story. Sarah was a busy mom. One day, Sarah decided to blah, blah, blah. She saw a naturopathic doctor specializing in hormones. So I'm like, that's not my story, right? I can't just use that story. So then I would do like, what would be a great analogy in order to illustrate that, right? And it would give me something like, hey, here's an analogy that uses a feminine perspective to illustrate the importance of taking a holistic approach to weight loss. So then you have to practice it so it comes good out of your mouth, right? But you're like, ladies, I want you to imagine your body is like a beautiful garden that needs regular attention and self-care to flourish. If you only focus on watering the plants, but you neglect any other areas like pruning or fertilizing, I don't even know what pruning means, right? I'm still learning English. So pruning or fertilizing, the garden won't reach its full potential. Similarly, if you only focus on one aspect of weight loss, such as counting calories, dieting, eating less, or whatever, you won't achieve your best results. Just like a garden needs regular care and attention to grow and thrive, the body also needs a holistic approach to weight loss that address all of the factors that contribute to overall health and well-being. right? So now I can play with that. I can work with it, put it in my words, and tell that story. And at the end, by the way, what's the goal of the story? Is to break a belief and install a new belief, which I call a moral, right? What's the moral of the story? What's the moral of the analogy? So I went in this by like, ladies, what I want you to understand at this point is that the only real way to have sustainable weight loss will be by taking care of every aspect of your garden. This is the only way to not have to force the weight, but to be so healthy that your body starts reflecting it. Right? That's the only way, ladies. And if you don't trust me, just think about your 40 last ride, right? So now it will, okay. So who wants to know the three, who wants to have the framework in order to take care of all the aspects of their garden? They're like, me, right? So you don't necessarily need to have stories. You have analogies that illustrates the moral you want to teach them, right? This word sounds so bad in my mouth, like moral. I think I pronounce it so bad, but all good. Like anyway, so you want to teach the analogy, right? And you want to teach the moral. This is how you do it, right? So if you're back at copywriting and you're like, okay, now I have my secrets, now I have my stories, now I have my offer, now I know which webinar to hack. What I miss, Danny, is everything, like every slide of the webinar, when it's not a story, it's not an offer, it's just like slide 17 and it says something completely random, right? How do I do that? So there's multiple ways in order to do it. First of all, like there's one that I love. Okay, this is a good one. I teach you this. I want take note on this one. It's super good. Please give me three highly influential bullet points copy using the perfect bullet formula from Jim Edwards to sell my weight loss program. So again, it can be anything, all right? Please give me one line of copy to sell blah, blah, blah using blah, blah, blah formula, right? So sure, here are three highly influential bullet points using this formula. Discover the secrets to shedding unwanted pounds without having to deprive yourself of your favorite foods, thanks to our delicious and easy to follow meal plans and make healthy. Get ready to turn heads and feel confident in your own skin again as you melt away stubborn belly fat and transform your body with a proven workout program that fits your busy lifestyle. And by the way, you will have a weight loss community to blah, 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 right? So I went from I don't know how to sell my program to now I have pretty good arguments to sell my program, right? And if you want to see it in action, okay? Let me share that with you. Like, okay, Danny, that's good when you see it, but how do you do it in reality? How do you do it in action, right? I want to show you. This is not a webinar that I do, guys. I don't teach you the what without teaching you the how. I teach you the how. I want you to be resourceful with this, right? So let's say I'm like this slide, right? Why should you stay until the end? And you're like, okay, I need 4 reasons to stay until the end. This is the goal of this slide, right? Now, back then, I had no AI to do the work for me. So I had to find it on my own. But nowadays, what I would do, I would go there. Hey, can you please help me find 4 reasons that will hook my audience to the end of my webinar, please? I need the hooks to be well written and world-class copywriting. The first hook will be about hormones and weight loss. The second is about sleep and energy. And the last one is about accelerating your metabolism. I need you to find the 3 first one related to feminine weight loss using the power and the hormone. And then the 4th will be a free gift that I call the 500 hormonal health recipe, right? And it has to follow why you should stay until the end and be a simple 10-15 word hook. So, okay, so in that case, it would be like you can see why you should stay until the end. To discover how your hormones can be your ultimate allies in your weight loss journey, to finally unlock the secret connections between restful sleep and boundless energy. And lastly, learn how to supercharge your metabolism and transform your body effortlessly so you lose your weight while sleeping. And finally, guys, for those who stay until the end, you will get our free exclusive gift, a $97 value of our 500 hormonal health recipes, a treasure of 12 delicious hormone balancing meals that are accessible for everybody and easy to cook, right? So now you have the slide. Look, time to write this, right? It's not about thinking. ChatGPT will do the thinking for you. You just know the right thing to ask him, right? So it will always be written like there, right? Why you shouldn't stay until the end. Then it could be like the life of realtors, right? Or the life of online coaches. And he gives like 7 bullet points of what's the life of online coaches so you feel understood. But let's say you sell to realtors, then it would become like the life of a realtor, and you would go to ChatGPT and you're like, can you illustrate me with 7 bullet points the problem in a day-to-day life of a realtor? And it would do like 7 points, right? So guys, be resourceful. It's freaking easy, right? So, guys, do you see how like easy and fast launching a webinar can actually be? Do you guys get that? Oh, you don't have like to take it hard, to have the hard way, to think about everything, to have it perfect, right? It's so freaking easy and simple, guys, right? So now, like, I want you to know again, right? If I do that, like, I want to tell you the framework again, right? So you have the webinar hacking. You find a model, you find a container, then you find an offer that you sell until the end. So you have the whole entire container that will tell you like where are you at in the webinar. You have your offer. You know this is what you sell at the end, and all the between. This is your copy. This is where each and every time you don't know what to say, you ask ChatGPT, and you have a fully complete AI world-class driven webinar, right? AI driven world-class webinar. So that's how you do it, right? That's how you will have massive success. So guys, is this helpful, by the way? Is this helpful? Now I have like a lot of tips that I can share with you in order to make your webinar converts like crazy. I want to know, guys, tell me about the time. This is the first part of the webinar, guys. Are we good on time? Is it doing well? Eric, let me know. I can go for hours and hours. The cool thing with energy is that you can just never stop, right? So guys, let me know. By the way, with these skills, let me tell you, everything's going to be good, right? Everything's going to be super good. But is good enough, right? No, we're relentless. We want to be great. This is what we do as entrepreneur. You never launch a business in order to have an okay business. You never launch a webinar in order to make okay ROAS or ROI or profit. No, you want to be great, right? So let me teach you the 4 incredibly easy French sales psychology hacks you want to use in order to profit big by selling your offer on cold traffic webinar week after week after week after week, right? So the first hack is how to make your hook from average to good. Is this good, guys? No, this is a hook that absolutely sucks, right? You want to have a great hook. So the number 1 webinar hack to get more registrants, better show up rates, and make insane profits. Now that's a good hook, right? This sucks. And this is what most people do. They're like, come to my weight loss webinar where we will discover how to be healthy. Come on, right? So create some crazy good headlines using curiosity, right? Again, you can ask ChatGPT, guys. Feel free to ask. So let's say my webinar title is how to lose 30 pounds as a 40 years old plus mom, right? Now I would love you to recreate this title using a great hook that is curiosity based, right? So the little known weight loss method that's helping 40 plus moms shed 30 pounds in record time. A 140 years old mom lost 30 pounds without giving up her favorite food or spending countless hours at the gym. Our third, uncover the surprising weight loss secrets that making 40 years old mom feels like they're in their 20s again, right? So these are great hooks. It's not like the weight loss webinar. Learn how to become healthy, which is like, I'm exaggerating, of course, but it's like 90% of the hook out there sucks. I will coach at 2CCX, Russell's 25K group at the end of May. And this is one thing we will go over is the bold promise. Like you must have a hook that is good, that is great for people to want to watch your webinar, right? So hack number 1, and by the way, they are all hack number 1 because there's no hack that is like more important than the others. You just do those 4 and you're gonna crush it in your webinar. Overcome their fears fast. I would almost say instantly. So they listen to you closely, right? In sales, like let's just put yourself in the POV of a buyer, right? You go into the car dealership and you see the salesman arrive to you. You're instantly shielded, right? You're like, I want to take a look around, right? You don't want to be like attacked almost. This is how people feel coming to your webinar, right? They have their fears. Oh yeah, that's good for him. It won't work for that. It's too good to be true. And all those BS, right? So one thing I started doing that now I do every single webinar is to overcome their 3 biggest objection up front, right? So in that case, it's French, so I'll translate it to you. It was a back pain webinar for people who tried everything like massage therapists, physical therapy, stuff like that, but could not get relief for their back, right? Their back was still gonna hurt. So I did a webinar in order to help them with that. I was not the attractive character, of course. I wrote the webinar. So what I did is like, just before going further, maybe you think you're too old or you're in pain for too long. And then I break that with a testimonial of a guy who's been in pain for 30 years working in construction, right? And he tried over 20 therapists, did not work. Now I'm like, maybe you think that modern therapy is the only solution. Physiotherapists, chiropractors, I don't know the English name for the other one, right? But like those modern therapists that you guys know. And then I give the testimonial of somebody who tried 7 therapists in less than a month. Nothing worked. And in only one session with the guy, it changed everything and gave him his life back. And then I'm like, but maybe you think also that surgery is your only solution. This is what doctors told you. This is what people are telling you. And then I share a story of a guy who were playing professional sports, and he was so broken down that everybody would tell him surgery is the only option. And then he got repaired by the guy with no surgery, with no equipment, only by doing the posturology stuff. So now they're like, okay, I'm not too old. Modern therapy is not the solution, and I can avoid surgery. Let's get in, right? And we're only like slide 11. So overcome their 3 biggest objections fast. A great way to do it, if you don't know the exact objections, find the vehicle objection. What is it that they assume about your vehicle for success? Internal objection. What is that they fear about themselves that would prevent them to achieve the desired outcome? And external. What is in their world, their environment, in the universe that will prevent them to achieve their success, right? It can be anything in the outer world, the inner world, and with your vehicle to success. So that's hack number 2, overcome fast their main concerns, right? And the only way to answer those are with stories of success. People need proof, especially nowadays. Everybody's like, hey, you can be a billionaire in 7 minutes and a half by doing absolutely nothing. Just click here and enter your email, right? People don't believe that anymore, guys. They just don't. Right? So you have to prove your stuff. You can't just tell stuff anymore. You have to prove your stuff, right? There's a difference between if I said like, hey, I'm good at webinars, and the number I gave you earlier today, right? It's a big difference. So act number 1, speaking of proof, prove every claim you do. By the way, this is one thing I've changed for somebody in the inner circle, and he doubled his webinar conversions right away, right? So for example, I'm like, hey, posturology can make your posture so much better in only one séance, in only one, sorry, I missed the word, appointment, right? Treatment, in only one treatment. So then I would prove it. Look at the clock. I would prove with angles, and then I would prove with angles. And then I say it with 120 seconds, 2 minutes. Is 7% more closer to perfect posture, right? And I would show a couple of those back to back. So it's like, okay, I must believe now. There's no other way than believing, right? So only 120 seconds and 700% more better posture, right? So again, prove what you say. So for example, there was a lady in the inner circle. Her 3rd secrets was, hey, I'll teach you how you can do what she sells with 4 kids under how I did what I did with 4 kids under my belt. And then the proof was, hey, I made 100K with your offer. No, that's not the proof. That's a testimonial for your vehicle. You just told them they can do it with 4 kids. Show proof of somebody who did it with 6. Now that's a proof, right? It's always about what did you just said, and prove what you just said, right? Again, it's different. I'm not like prove every claim you do and then switch to NetX. I give you a proof of what I did for it to work. I give you a proof of what I did for it to work, right? You need to prove your stuff. And again, especially nowadays where people are like, lose 217 and 27 pounds by eating McDonald's and poutine and French fries every single day using our one magic pill that you'll take and wake up leaner overnight, right? People don't like that anymore. That's still what happens, right? So because a lot of people do these kinds of claim, all the claims are looking bad. It's almost like because 80% or like 20% of the car salesmen you've spoke with in your life absolutely sucked and were horrible. This is how you think about car salesmen, right? It's the exact same. If 20% of coaches say bullshit all day long on the internet, then for people, you're the same kind of coach, even if you're not. So that's why you must prove every single claim that you do, guys. I hope you'll do it. So I want you to listen to watch your webinar after having wrote it for the first time and try to see, should I prove that? Should I prove that? And then prove it, right? And act number one, this one is one of my favorite. It's an absolute game changer. I've helped a guy add $500,000 in sales with this technique in the webinar, in the inner circle, right? It's the more than perfect guarantee. So what it is, you're going to offer 10% more than what they paid for your webinar offer if they do the stuff and it don't work. Right? So let's say in that case, right, we would sell a $200 weight loss program. By the way, this is the program we made 2.9 million with. So we would sell that. It was $200. Let's make round numbers, right? So I would tell them, hey, by the way, if you're not completely satisfied, if you haven't lost weight with this program, I'm so confident that I'm going to give you a $20 gift card in order for you to go buy a wine bottle on us to forget your bad experience, right? So we make it funny. We make it cool. We had a weight loss program for men in which it was sold $1,000, and we would offer a $100 gift card for tomahawks, the steaks, right? Because men love to cook barbecue. It was for dads, specifically for dads who want to lose weight, and dads love barbecue. So we would offer $100 worth of tomahawks, the best steak ever, if our program don't allow you to reach your weight. So reach your healthy weight. So find something that is related to your audience that will make them go, okay, he's willing to like bet on himself, right? And this is exactly what I do, by the way. The reason I do that is to bet on myself. Then it can allow you to speak out of pure absolute conviction. Guys, who does that? Who's willing to put $100 on the table for you? Have you ever seen that before? Nobody. Why is that? Because we trust our program and we trust our customers. We trust you and we believe in you. And we want you to believe in you, because if you believe in you and you do the work, it's a sad story. You won't receive this card because it'll change everything. And if it don't, we're so confident in this that we're going to give you gift, right? So it allows you to speak with a pure conviction place. Guys, you have nothing to lose. You even have something to win if it don't work. If it works, you have something big to win. If it don't work, you have something small to win. So both cases, you have something to win, right? It allows you to speak like that, right? So first of all, make sure you have highly curiosity-based hook and titles. Overcome their 3 fears first so they listen closely to you without being shielded. Prove everything you claim so they are not thinking, is this bullshit? Is this true? Blah, blah, blah. And offer a more than perfect guarantee in order for you to show conviction to them, right? So now, guys, you have the ability to launch a highly profitable webinar in the next 9 days, right? But one last thing before we get going. I wasn't here for Adora or Eric. I have to tell you, right? I was here for you guys. I was here for you, for the people listening, for the coaches that want to change their lives, for the entrepreneur who's a bit struggling like I was before, but wants success and is willing to do the work and is willing to go all in and bet on himself. This is who I was here for. So before we transition to Q&A, I want you to commit to taking action, right? Because today is not about information. It's about transformation. It's not about knowing. It's about having. I don't want you to be like at the next Christmas, hey, I listened to a guy talking about webinar. It was cool. I think I should do a webinar. Yeah, I know a lot about webinar. I've watched this training. No, BS. If you don't do money with webinar, you know nothing about webinar, right? It's not about knowing. It's about having. Having is the name of the game. So if you want to have, what is the number one takeaway that you will commit yourself to implement starting right now? So guys, that's it for me. For those who want to connect with me, just scan this. It's going to be amazing. By the way, just like my social networks, there's no lead magnet, no enter your email. The only thing I have to sell you is $1.5 million. No, just kidding. So if you want to connect with me, it will be super good. Danny D. Terrien. And by the way, one thing that I commit myself to do, because I want you to commit, I will commit back to you. If you launch your webinar, you tell me and I will share with people. So you have, I have like an audience on Facebook. I will tell people so they can go watch your webinar and give you great feedbacks. So I hope this was helpful, guys. I hope you truly enjoyed it as much as I did. That was super cool to do, right? So Eric, thanks a lot, man.
Danny, that was insane. You didn't teach people how to launch a webinar in 9 days. You taught them how to launch it in like a day using AI. You could literally watch the replay, go step by step, and literally pull this down. And if you guys don't know what the perfect webinar is, you can download that. Just Google the perfect webinar. I think you're right. I think it is $7 or something like that from Russell. And it gives you all the frameworks. And all I have to do is go slide by slide, plug in your content and or use ChatGPT to help you curate that content. And then your hacks, like he literally just gave you the playbook to $1 million webinar And he doesn't get anything out of it. He's here to serve. Like, how crazy is that? Like, this is the community that we love in here at Uprise and inside the Inner Circle, as you probably heard as well, which I'm also a member of. So, Danny, thank you so much. Absolutely insane. Like, and your energy, I warned you guys. Unbelievable. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I truly appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate Adora for giving me the opportunity. The people that were in the room, thank you so much. It was super cool. So do we still have time for Q&A, or I know
we've got to end it at the top of the hour. And we've got a couple of announcements. So yeah, that'll be it for the day.
All right, cool.
We'll definitely add some time for that.
All right. So I thank you so much, everybody. Love you guys. That was amazing. And I hope you will take action, because this has the power to change your life. Just like it allowed me to pay my rent at the end of the month when I finally, after 6 months, launched my first one. So guys, please believe in yourself as much as I do, because if you're here, you know how to take action, you know how to learn, and you know how to implement. So love you guys. Thank you for everything, and see you later.
Love you, man. Thank you so much.
And we could bring Danny back as one of our VIP speakers with a Q&A. If he wants to dive a little bit deeper, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, awesome. Yeah, that is something to rewatch. And I know our replays will be up for a little bit, but then VIP gets access to that indefinitely. And so it's one of those things you just want to watch and pause, and just make sure you're implementing. Powerful.
Amazing. Well, guys, can you believe it? Insane day today. We started off with Les Brown, of course, and we ended up with Danny at the end. Just today alone, if we ended today and that was all we got out of it, wow, like super, super powerful. But guess what? That's not going to happen, because we have tomorrow. We have some amazing speakers tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to pull up the lineup really quick. I should have had it. There we go. We have Anissa Holmes tomorrow. If you guys don't know about her, she's an amazing entrepreneur. Marley Jackson, have you heard of her? She is the queen of YouTube and creating influence and programs on YouTube. I think you're speaking tomorrow, Adora. Is that right?
Yeah.
And obviously, she doesn't need any introduction. And Preston Weeks. How many of you guys know who Preston Weeks is? Say me in the chat. That is all coming tomorrow. So we have an insane lineup tomorrow of some pretty incredible people that can help you guys level up to where you want to be and launch your programs. And of course, get to those 100K months as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah. And just to say a little bit about Preston, he took a $1,600 investment and turned it into carfinder.com to 60 million a year, and owns like 20 different companies. So Anissa, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about, I know we've got YouTube, we've got scaling for authors, but what is Anissa's topic? Do you know?
I do. It's 3 I's: impact, influence, impact, and income. How you can expand your influence, your impact, and your income.
Awesome.
Obviously, the 3 pillars of any really good program boils down to those 3 things. So yes, she's amazing at it too.
Awesome. And so those of you that purchased VIP tickets, you can still go to the link in our bios. We'll send the link out if you haven't yet. But we will be announcing Saturday the invite only VIP Zooms, where you come in with some of our different speakers and you're able to network with each other. You're able to ask your questions. So those are definitely coming. While we're live, we first deliver as much as we can, allow you to process and put together what your questions are, where you move forward, where you stopped, and then we come together with VIP. Eric, anything else?
That's it from me today. Just excited about tomorrow, and man, we've got some major momentum going into today, or going into tomorrow, I should say.
Yes, awesome. And so thank you, Eric, for being a host. Thank you, everyone who stayed with us all day, and your comments. It really lights the speakers up, because they're here to make an impact, right? And those of you watching the replay, be sure to comment. We do see those, and it helps us know what's landing and what to bring you more of.
Yes.
All right.
All right, that's it for today, guys. Have an awesome day, awesome evening, and we will see you guys right here at 10 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. And we're going to start off with Anissa, and it's going to be insane again. So thank you guys for joining.
Awesome. Thank you.